long 4 years ahead of us.
I know.
Which means we have a long time to strategize for the next round. So we're going to continue fighting and we'll be ready. But thank you so much again for coming up and for taking the time to chat.
You're awesome. Thanks.
Have a good one, okay?
Yeah, bye-bye.
This is what I mean, folks. Okay, some of these comments, again, I know that you MAGA Republicans are doing your victory lap. Like, again, do your thing. I would be doing the same if I won. However, somebody just fucking commented, who's your president, Johnny? I know what you meant. My president is Joe Biden, though. Okay, so you guys are like, stop drinking. Like, put the fucking phone down. Literally, it's like incoherent babblage at this point. Knock it off. Literally
racking my brain all day. I think I've successfully went through all the stages of grief today. Honestly, what I think happened is just a lack of education, all the misinformation. Like, I probably know 2% about politics and economics, but I knew enough to distinguish, between the policies, what was going to be beneficial, what was going to add to the deficit, like what was going to pay for itself, and I've been listening to so many debates. I've been listening to you and Dean and Parker and everybody, and, you get the same concerns from people. And then they'll get all this information, and then they'll still end up saying, well, my life was just better. That's I just can't let go of that my life was better. And it's so frustrating, especially for, communities that are oppressed, like women, minorities, people of different sexual orientations. It's so disappointing and heartbreaking to know that our human rights took a back seat today.
Right.
For, an economy that we're never going to see. We're never going to get, our goods are never going to cost what they did pre-pandemic. And I don't think people understand that.
I think in part too, there's a little bit of a confusion as to where the costs are coming from, right? Like, we know that right now the inflation rate is 2.1%. And under Donald Trump in 2018, pre-pandemic, it was 2.4%. So it's almost identical. However, if costs are still high at the grocery store, then that has to do with corporate greed. And we know that to be the case because Kroger's CEO admitted to price gouging at Kroger Company just a couple months ago. But Donald Trump has no such plan to combat price gouging. So he can say he's going to decrease inflation. He can say that all he wants. It's already decreased. So what, he's going to take credit for low inflation? Costs are still going to be high at the grocery store.
And I think he himself is confused about it because, he should know that we can't completely get rid of inflation because then we're going to go into a depression. Like, it's just, I don't know. I feel like it's all of this is out there. It's all pretty digestible. If you know how to find reliable sources, like, it's all there. And yet we're here, and I'm just, and I know that the Electoral College hasn't met yet. I know that things look pretty dismal right now. I haven't completely lost hope, but it is hard. Like, I've barely been able to open social media today because it's just chaos.
Oh, I hear you. Twitter's weird. Let me tell you something, folks. If you want to, even on a normal day, it doesn't even have to be an election day. Just don't go on Twitter. That place is creepy. But anyhow, Britt, we're going to continue fighting forward. We got a lot of work to do, but we're ready to take the House this week. And if we don't take the House this week, we're coming for it in 2 years, and then we're coming for the presidency 2 years after that. So we're ready to put in the work. We're ready to fix this mess and get it right.
Yeah, because there have been too many people that have fought too long to get, fought for our human rights to get us where we were, for us to take this big of a step back. So, we got to keep going.
Well, thank you, Britt, for coming up. I appreciate you taking the time, okay? And I hope that your day, your night gets a little bit better. I hope that you do something for yourself, like get Uber Eats, may I recommend. And then, just know it's going to be tough before it gets easier, but it will get better. Have a good one, okay?
Yeah, we got a comfort food, we got retail therapy, so we're doing better.
Thanks again, Britt. Alrighty, folks. We need some mods here. Where's our mods at? Where's our mods at? Where's our mods? Where's the mods at? We need some mods. I want to turn off the comments, but I will turn off the comments if it gets like, because some of these comments aren't even coherent anymore. Like I get that Trump supporters are doing their like, you know, their, oh, I got you. This is 40. I'm gonna bring it up here. I get that Trump supporters are doing like their, you know, their victory lap thing, but it's not even coherent anymore. Like some of their comments make absolutely no sense. So if you could just feel free to get them out of here if they're going like completely nuts. Somebody said, is this a safe space? For me, it's a safe space for me. Is it a safe space for you? I don't think so. Safe space for me though. I got my blanket. I got my tea. I'm good. Safe space for me. Hi, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
We are alive.
I feel that.
How you holding up?
I'm holding up. You know, I talked to you, I think last week sometime. I was the one that told you that my brother had disowned me. So there's that. But yeah, I didn't think I would be so emotional, but and feel so afraid as I did last night. So I didn't go to bed till like 3 a.m, woke up at 6, had to go to work, and then came home absolutely just devastated, but you know, trying to stay positive.
Right.
I had someone, you know, post something on Facebook, a friend of mine, and he said, I woke up feeling free. And I said, well, women didn't wake up feeling free. And of course, the MAGA train jumped on me. Pretty much all the comments were directed to me. There was like 40 something. And I was just like, what in the world? And some were actually still trying to debate me. And I'm like, I'm like, somebody tell this guy that his president won. Like, what's going on? Why are you still trying to debate and fight? Like, it's crazy. But
they're so, listen, some of these, I'll tell you again, I get some of the, okay. There are 3 kinds of Trumpers right now, right? There's the one kind of Trumper that is like, we won this race, let's do this gracefully, and we move on, and then they carry on with their day and get back to work. There's the other kind of Trumper that's like, oh, let me try to fight you because I'm bored and I want to get a reaction out of you and you're not crying for me. It's like weird. It's like a kink or something.
Yes.
And then like there's the third kind that's like, ha ha ha, I'm so drunk off my ass right now that I don't even know what I'm doing. And it's like, listen, you celebrate how you want to celebrate, you do your thing. I would be doing the same if I won. But like it's that middle one where they're like, hey, let me try to fight you and stuff. Like, calm the fuck down. The election's over. Like, chill the fuck out.
Like, I was like, congratulations on your win. You know, like, no hate on my end, because guess what? If Kamala won, I'd be doing the same stuff.
Right.
So
like,
I'm like, you're totally valid for posting your stuff or doing you, but don't attack me for, you know, saying what I want to say either. So it really is just kind of, it's crazy times. I think the thing that kind of was gut punching to me is when, you know, I was watching a little bit of it last night with my daughter, who's 15, and she woke up this morning for school and comes running out of her room. She's like, Mom, who won? And I'm like, Trump. And my heart sunk, because it's just like, what are we teaching our future generation? That you can be a rapist and you can pay people off. You can be racist and sexist and all of these things and still be a president. And the thing is like, it's hard for felons to get jobs, but you can be a felon and be a president. So nothing makes sense anymore to me.
I think first and foremost, we got to also recognize the severity of Kamala Harris's nomination. And it's own. I mean, the fact that there is the fact that a black woman became the Democratic nominee for president of the United States is inspiring to a lot of children across the country, and that won't change whether she had or had not become president. That won't change, and it didn't shatter that glass ceiling this time, but we're gonna sure as hell gonna keep fighting forward, and it's gonna happen eventually. And it could be those kids who are the future voters that shatter that glass ceiling, or it could be one of them who shatters the glass ceiling.
Right. And I told my daughter, I said, guess what? Next time everyone gets to vote, you are old enough to vote. And so that is very, very important, and stuff. And so, yeah, it's just, it's hard. It's hard. Most of my family, like I said before, are Trump supporters and stuff. And, it's tough. It feels very, very lonely when, you don't have so I just appreciate you for still hopping on here, still checking on people, even after, the loss that we took. And, it's amazing. And please don't go anywhere.
Oh, I don't plan on it.
Because
originally, I'll be honest, I was going to. So I started doing these live streams. Originally, I would meet voters in person, travel the swing state of Pennsylvania, meet folks in person. And then I was at Donald Trump's rally in Butler County when that tragedy had unfolded, and that had impacted my mental well-being. So I wasn't a big fan of crowds after that. And so I started doing the live streams. And then I was like, you know what, we're going to stop after the election. There's, no reason to do it after that point. But a ton of MAGA Republicans were telling me that they want me to leave. And so now I'm staying here forever.
Yes. I'm like, please, never leave. Even if it's just on here chatting with people and stuff, because you really bring a lot of light to people who are in the dark, me being one of those people, and you truly are amazing. That's why I was baffled that people are in here saying, oh, what happened? You were so rude and you were so this and that. And I'm like, wait,
okay.
Donnie was?
No, but it's so true. So, okay, wait. So this one gets to me. I can tell exactly who joins, for example, this live stream. This isn't a debate. I'm not hyping it up. I'm not doing my prop things. I'm not running around all energetic, just being myself. Folks who tune into these live streams like that, or if they follow me on Instagram and stuff, they know that I'm just very relaxed and I keep my voice low and stuff.
Right.
And so people keep coming in to this live, and I can tell that they've never, ever, ever been on my Instagram or in one of these live streams.
Yeah.
They're like, why are you so respectful? Is it because you lost? I'm like, no, it's because my mom raised me like that.
Right, yeah. I'm just a respectful person.
Right. I'm just calm and respectful. In the debates, I'm playing a character. The point, it's half education, it's half entertainment. It's a fucking television show.
Right. I was joining other people's lives, Harry, Christine, Parker, all of those guys. And when they were debating people, I found myself saying fetus deletus. And I was like, and I was just oh my God. I was I love that. I'm bringing out my inner Johnny.
You gotta love fetus deletus.
Yes. Yeah. And forever, I need to go buy me one of those. And
straight out of Salem. It is straight from Salem. I went all the way to Salem just to get the wand because a little witch lady over there. Well, basically I needed a curse for... Let's see. Never mind. I won't say the name. So I needed a curse and I got the curse, but we'll see if it works. And then I also got a wand. It was a buy one, get one. Who knew? Oh, nice. Get a curse, get a wand.
Right. Yeah. That's amazing. And I don't know, and I don't know if you watched, when Trump got up and talked last night, but I couldn't watch it. I watched a glimpse of it, and poor Melania looked so uncomfortable, and JD Vance's wife looked so awkward, and I'm yeah, not the they're up there talking about how they want to deport immigrants.
Yep.
They're married to immigrant women.
Okay, I mean, I'll tell you right now, I feel for Melania. Like,
I do too.
she wants no fucking part in any of this. Melania
No,
wants
and you
nothing
can
to do
tell.
with any of
She's like,
this.
how the hell do I get off this stage
Right.
now? Like,
Melania's straight up like, I came here for the bag. What the fuck happened?
right. She's like, I wanted to just get some money.
Right.
And I just wanted to get my papers. I did that. Now, how the hell do I get rid of this guy? Little
Yeah.
does she know, Trump is like a cockroach. You cut his head off, and the guy's still crawling around. It's really sad. But
Yeah.
there's a silver lining because we only have 4 more years of this, and he's gone after that, and we
Yeah.
hopefully won't have to see any more of him. And that's what I'm looking forward to, even though I know it's going to be a long 4 years. It's going to drag.
See, the thing is too,
but-
it's like, I mean, he's gonna be 82. Like,
Right.
come on.
And I don't
Like,
know why.
he's not in peak physical health.
Right, yeah. And I don't know why, but like JD Vance gives me the ick so bad. I don't
JD Vance
know.
gives everybody the ick. The fact that I had to put
Yeah.
a chastity belt on my couch speaks volumes.
Oh my gosh. I'm just like, I can't even stand like listening to him. Like he just doesn't, he doesn't even seem like a person you could trust. I mean, he literally called Trump Hitler at one point, and now he's standing beside him. So it speaks a lot about his character
Well,
and who he is.
We
So, and I don't know if you saw in Texas, just like a week ago or so, that an 18-year-old died from losing her baby. She had gone in after her baby shower, actually, and they said she had strep throat, sent her home. She still wasn't feeling good. She went back in. She's like, I'm having stomach pain. They're like, oh, it's probably a UTI or something of that sort. And that's my daughter.
Oh, you're good.
And so, so they sent her home. And and then when she went back, they told her that she had lost the baby, and they wouldn't take the baby out of her. And
Oh, that's
so
heartbreaking.
and it's like, it's crazy that this is like still happening. And, they say leave it up to the state. I don't agree with that, even though because I'm in Arizona. And so we actually won over abortion. So everyone voted yes to 139 here in Arizona. So that's good. And I'm not sure if Ruben Gallego got it or
Yeah,
Okay.
he's good. He's good.
okay. I was like, please not Scary Lake.
She has no room to catch up. So I think what's great about that race too, though, is you see the split ticket voting where, for example, Ruben Gallego over in Arizona or in North Carolina with Josh Stein. I mean, these are Democrats winning statewide races, and even though that Kamala lost those states, apparently these down ballot candidates had something that she didn't, and that's going to help us in the future game plan how we want to change our messaging.
Yes.
So it's a good case study, I think.
Really
We'll
is.
be diving deeper into it in the coming years.
I'm so sad that, we lost, Kamala, but, I'm glad that we're still for me, still gonna have Ruben Gallego fighting for women. And, and I got to see Obama when he came here for the rally.
Oh, nice.
And that was truly amazing. He's a freaking legend. So I was like, I'm just trying to count all the wins
Right.
to it. But, it's hard. It's very hard, very emotional, heavy heart, completely.
Hey, you know what though? I ain't gonna sugarcoat it. It's gonna get worse
Yes.
and worse until it officially gets better, and it will at some point get better.
It
So
will.
we're just going to continue working towards that.
Oh, yeah.
That ray of sunshine until we get there, though.
Yeah, and we will. And, you know, with people like you and stuff, fighting the good fight always makes me more confident and makes me want to do more. And I'm sure everyone else, you know, in your chat could speak that as well.
Oh, I turned off the
So-
chat to make the MAGA Republicans mad. I thought it was funny. Somebody commented, and somebody literally commented, and they were like, "You can't silence my freedom of speech." And I was like, "Girl, watch."
Yeah, you're like, I can't do what? Like,
Yeah, I'm like, "Oh,
Bye.
watch me."
I know. I was so sad. I don't know what happened. So when you were on yesterday, when your mod silenced me, and I didn't say anything bad, I was like, "Who the f?" I was like,
I
"Who
know-
muted?" I was like, "Who muted
I
me?"
know
was like,
who the mod
"You kidding me?"
is.
And I was like, hello. I was like, what did I say? I was like, I literally am a Democrat. I literally come on here and talk to Johnny
Yeah.
all the time. I was like, I love him to death. I'm like, what in the world? And yeah, so
Let's pretend. First off, massive W to our mods. Thank you so much to our mods
Yes.
today for keeping this chat clean and helping us with having a safe space. I will say there was a mod, and I know exactly the mod you're talking about who is doing it. Let's name her Lisa. So Lisa is a elderly woman, and she was helping us do the modding. And so afterwards, I messaged her and I go, "Hey Lisa, I noticed that like you muted a ton of folks from our side. What happened?" And she was like, "Oh, I just thought you wanted me to like mute everybody." And I was like, "What?" And she goes, "I thought you were saying," she goes, "I thought you said," she goes, "You said to mute the folks who were like, you know, messaging." I was like, "No, Lisa, just the ones who were like cussing and stuff in the chat." And she goes,
I know.
"Oh."
I was like, did I cuss? I was like, what did I say?
She
Like,
goes,
I was
she
like,
goes to me, she goes, "I muted the ones who cursed too." I said, "But Lisa, you muted everybody. You didn't just mute the ones who cursed." But it was so cute. It was so cute.
Yeah, I think the last thing I like had put in the chat was like the numbers, like and stuff of, you know, who was, you know, winning or whatever yesterday. And then I was like, I went to go say something else and I was like, "You've been muted." And I'm like, whoa, what?
Yeah, folks, if you ever get muted and you're a member of our community, just know it's Lisa. And we love Lisa so much, okay? Lisa has devoted so much time to this community. We
And
got it.
do,
We can't, you know.
And I wasn't
gotta
even
keep
mad,
her.
but I'm like, I was like, dang, I'm emotional right now and I need
Yeah.
to talk to Johnny and I was muted. What in the hell?
Lisa's a queen, a slightly unavailable, but physically they're queen.
I was
We
like, you know
love
what? I
Lisa.
was like, do your thing. As long as she doesn't block me completely, you know,
Yeah,
I'm good.
she does that sometimes too. We fix it though.
jeez.
We fix it though.
Okay.
Again, listen, folks. Everybody has a Lisa. We love Lisa. We love you, Lisa.
Yeah.
Lisa's not here, but we love a Lisa. Everybody has a Lisa. You know, you don't want to get rid of Lisa.
I was just like, oh my gosh. So I actually wrote one of your mods and I was like, hey, I'm on your guys' side. What happened? I was muted. And then she goes, I'm so sorry that happened. She's like, but if she muted you, you'll be able to chat tomorrow. And then you had got off live anyway. So I was like,
Oh,
okay, cool, fine. I'll just wait to vent tomorrow then.
that's so. Oh, they should be able to unmute after. Like, if somebody's muted, they can unmute.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
can't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably
so-
you were probably talking you were probably talking to Lisa. Lisa was like,
yeah,
"You're on
probably, yeah, I was
mute."
probably talking
Lisa
to
was
the source.
like, you go right to the source. You were like, "I think you muted me," and she was like, "Damn fucking right, you're on mute."
Yeah, right. It was like Johnny said mute everybody, so I
Yeah.
went for it.
She was like, "Johnny said mute them all." Oh my gosh.
That was too freaking funny. But yeah, please keep doing lives and stuff because even though we lost, you know, you give great advice and yeah, everybody needs a Johnny. So
Hey, I'm not going anywhere. If MAGA Republicans want me to leave so bad, that just means I have to stay here forever. So I'll be
Right.
here.
yes, exactly.
Alrighty.
Okay,
Well, it was
well, you have a
great to
good
see you
night.
again. You too.
All right. Have a good night. Bye.
I need a tissue. How you guys feeling? You guys feeling okay? I don't know if this live is making you feel any better. Are you guys feeling a little bit better? Are we doing okay? Do you folks have any questions that I can answer? Whether it be analytically, statistically, categorically. How you guys doing? You guys okay? What happened? Somebody commented what happened. Well, Lisa, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to talk about we do love Lisa, though. Lisa is a queen. Why did voters not show up? Well, no, voters showed up. Voters did show up. It's in part the way in which voters went. For example, we were so focused on getting, for example, the youth electorate, we lost out on the youth male electorate. And so there is this historic voter turnout, but we lost out on, for example, young male voters. We did win over young women voters. We need to have all young voters. So these are just some things to think about for next time. Oh my gosh, what? Lisa tried to fight you in a Walmart parking lot. Oh my gosh, Brenda. Lisa's really out here looking for a fight. Why didn't Biden resign? Biden wouldn't resign. If Biden resigned, that would have meant that Kamala would be running the country and campaigning at the same time, which would be absolutely impossible to do. Lisa be tussling, I'll tell you now. Do you think Kamala will run again? Yeah, probably. I say that because in part, Donald Trump ran, lost, ran again, and just won. I mean, that just set a new precedent. So Kamala can easily come back in 4 years, and I would imagine she would, and that she would run again, and that there's a good chance she would win. Again, that's to be clear, that's a hypothetical, but I could absolutely see that happening. Somebody goes, can Biden resign? Listen, you're going to have to go ask Biden. I would not be against Biden resigning just so that we could get that Madam President for a few months, you know? I would not be against it if Joe Biden was like, hey, I'm gonna leave. Bye. I would not be against it. I would actually hand him his coat on the way out the door as I welcome Kamala into the White House. Somebody commented, should have kept Biden on the ticket. No, Biden would have lost this too, right? Biden would have lost by more than what Kamala lost by. Let's be very honest about that. Okay. Biden was not going to win the race. He knew that. That's why he left. Kamala was the best opportunity to win the race, right? But Joe Biden was not going to win. Joe Biden also, to be clear, folks, was never meant to be a two-term president, okay? He was always meant to be a one-term president, and he knew that. He was never meant to be a two-term president. That was not in his cards. He never meant to be a two-term president. Do I think Bernie Sanders is going to be running in 4 years? How old is Bernie Sanders now? How are we talking about Bernie Sanders in 4 years from now? How old is Bernie Sanders today? And add 4 years to that, and you tell me if you think Bernie Sanders is going to be running in 4 years. How old is Bernie? Who knows? He would be 90? He'd be 87? Ma'am. Please don't ask me if Bernie Sanders is running in 4 years. God, I hope not. Bernie Sanders, I don't think is going to be able to run physically in 4 years. Goodness gracious. Let that man retire at some point. Y'all are working him like a fucking cow. Let him, like, you're already let him sleep at some point. Swear, we are making that man work. Some of these people, it's like we need a new generation of leadership. Let's get Jimmy Carter. How do we go with, like, we got like Donald Trump, who's going to be, I think, 84 by the end of his term. We got Bernie Sanders, 87. We need a new generation of leadership. Let's get Jimmy Carter. All I can imagine is Jimmy Carter just sitting there like, how the fuck? Technically, he wasn't 2 terms, so he could run again. He's not even term limited. Oh my gosh. Okay, folks. I hope that you folks have a good night. I know that today's been a tough day, but tomorrow's a new day, and so we are going to pull up our sleeves and continue working and moving forward, just as we always do. Kaylee asked if I'm feeling okay. I am feeling okay. I'm feeling really hopeful. I know that some MAGA Republicans expect me to be like crying and stuff. I don't know if it's the Pennsylvanian in me. I really do think it's just that I'm a Pennsylvanian, and in our state, this happens like every other week. I mean, like it's the swing states. Okay, I mean, we have a divided legislature. Our governor switches back and forth from red to blue every other day. So I'm kind of like we lost a race. Like, what are we gonna do? Oh, I know what we're gonna do. We're gonna continue fighting forward. That's what we're gonna do. That's what we do in Pennsylvania. That's what we're gonna do in America. You know? Alrighty, folks. So I will see you tomorrow. We'll be back on. We may jump back in and start doing some debates. I'm debating it with myself if I want to do debates tomorrow. No, we'll see. Anyhow, I'll see you folks tomorrow. Hope you enjoy the night. Hopefully y'all go get some snacks, do something nice. Yes, my inhaler. I gotta go get my inhaler. Y'all have a good night, okay? And also some of what we would have seen should Kamala Harris had become the president. I think in part this is a good educational opportunity to share exactly what we would have seen, what we will see, and how that will affect you. And not just you, but also farmers, for example, or immigrants or migrants, or whatever the case be. So again, if you did vote for Donald Trump, join the guest request and let's have a conversation about that. If you voted for Kamala Harris, please hit that like button, hit the share button, help us get to 10,000 likes. We're already 1/10 of the way there. You folks are very quick. So again, we are going to get started in just a moment. If you did vote for Donald Trump, join the guest request. If you voted for Kamala Harris, hit that like button, hit the share button. Please do help us get to 10,000 likes. Can Biden do anything in his last 2 months? Yeah, Biden can do a lot, especially with this presidential immunity. Biden can do a lot in these last 2 months. And I imagine you're going to see quite a bit going on. So again, folks, if you are voting for Donald Trump, join the guest request. If you're voting for Kamala Harris, hit that like button, hit the share button. Do we have any mods on right now, by the way? Oh, I see we do have one mod on. Fantastic. Do we have any more mods here who might be able to tune in and help us keep the chat kind of clean? Just want to make sure that we're keeping it as a safe space. Awesome. Brittany, let me get you up here as a mod. I appreciate it. Okay. Thank you, Brittany, for your help. Alrighty, folks, again, if you are voting for Donald Trump, join the guest request. If you're voting for Kamala Harris, hit that like button, hit the share button. Please do help us get to 20,000 likes. We are going to get started in just about a minute or so, okay? Again, we are going to get started in just a minute. Okay, one more time. If you are voting for Donald Trump, join the guest request. If you're voting for Kamala Harris, hit that like button, hit the share button. Let's try to get up our first guest and see if we could get some conversations going. Okay, ow. I need my eye drops. I got dry eyes. Okay, ow, where are my eye drops? Hey, oh, hi, how you doing?
I'm good.
Well, you didn't vote for Trump.
I did vote for Trump.
You did vote for Trump?
I did vote for Trump. I did end up voting for him.
Gotcha. Why?
And I think, well, because honestly, I mean, I saw some extreme on the right side, but not as much as I did on the left. But there were a lot of hateful things said to Trump supporters. I mean, calling people that complete strangers, like I would see you do it on your live sometimes, is calling them just terrible slurs.
Excuse me.
You know,
Whoa, absolutely not. A slur has not once ever come out of my mouth. But the people who did indeed say slur, no. The people who did say slurs were coming from your side of the aisle. The people who are calling me the F slur, who are calling Black Americans in the channel the N slur, who are telling women in the channel that they ought to go make them a sandwich. Don't play with me.
No, you would say,
No, get out. You don't come up here and tell me that I'm slurring at people. Never have I ever, and never would I consider doing such a thing. The people who were slurring were from your side of the aisle. Is this a joke? Like, was that a joke? The people from your side of the aisle were coming up here and saying the N slur and the F slur every single day. Never have I ever said a slur. How dare you come up here and say I was slurring? Are you out of your mind? Yeah, nuh-uh. Mama raised me better than that. That was some deep projection. Oh, that was some deep projection. That was beyond inappropriate. Like, you have Trumpers who would come up here every single day saying the N-word, the F slur, and she comes up here and says, Johnny, you were slurring at Trumpers. What?
Hey, Johnny.
Hi, Tony. How you doing?
I'm doing well. And no, you didn't. I've never heard you use a slur.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like,
yeah, I do. I have seen you be very condescending, confrontational.
That's called life. So let's get back into this. So why did you vote for Trump?
I voted for Trump because I believe that he will do more for the economy than would have Kamala. I believe that he will be better on border security and on the foreign stage. And we will see, Trump's Trump.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit more about that.
What I would say to you is this.
Let's talk a little bit more about the economy, and let's also talk about the border. First and foremost, let's kick off with the border. What exactly is Donald Trump going to do to secure the border?
Yeah, and you know what? The border is a tough issue. It really is. Now, I know he takes a lot of heat for killing the border bill, but that border bill, as the Border Patrol said, was a step in the right direction, but it was by no means a fix. In that border bill, 7,000 illegal crossings a day for 7 consecutive days before anything was done, or 8,500 on a given day. So that's too many. So something needs to be done. I don't know if it's, more judges down there to hear the asylum cases, more Border Patrol agents.
Okay, help me better understand this, though. So we know, for example, in the bipartisan border bill that would have finished construction on the wall. And you had mentioned yourself that border security agents were in favor of this. This is also a bipartisan
step in the right direction
that both Republicans and Democrats supported. I think it's important to recognize not only would have allocated funding necessary for construction on the wall, it would have also capped immigration. It would have put a block on illegal asylum seekers, provided 1,500 border agent salaries. Can you tell me exactly why Donald Trump would block that bill? And
I think he wanted it for a campaign issue. I do believe that. But then I also believe by the same token that 7,000 illegal border crossings a day for 7 consecutive days is too many.
That's far less than what it would be under Donald Trump, what it was under Donald Trump. And so why would Donald Trump block this bill if it would lead to less border crossings than that of what we saw under his administration?
Well,
and
I
how
don't
is he
believe it
going
would
to?
have been. I mean,
well,
that was-
statistically it did. And
Well,
it
let me
would
just-
have.
let me
But
just,
can you tell
give
me
you a
what
hypothetical.
policy would he have? I don't need the hypothetical. I need to know what policy would Donald Trump have implemented, or what will he implement during his second term in office to secure the border? Can you tell us what that policy is?
Well, number one, you have to come through the port of entries, not across the Rio Grande River. That would be one thing to do. Then I would say you need more border agents, more judges to hear the asylum cases. You really need an overhaul.
You would have had more border agents if you passed that
Yes.
bill, but Donald Trump didn't.
Yeah.
And then second point being, you're talking about ensuring that folks aren't coming over illegally. And I absolutely agree. There should be no passage into our country via illegal immigration. But what and how is that process of Donald Trump securing the border in that sense feasible? Like, what is his actual policy here, right? You're saying he will stop illegal immigration, ensuring that there's not border crossings over
don't know that
the river.
you'll ever
Like, what is he
completely stop
going
it.
to do?
I don't think you'll ever completely stop it, but one thing you do need to do is you really need a congressional act that really revamps the entire border security.
Right, we had that. It was the bipartisan
immigration.
border agreement.
Nah.
Donald Trump blocked it.
Not with 35,000 in a week.
You said 7,000 in a week. Now you're saying 35,000 in a week.
day
Hold on,
for
I want to
7
better
days.
understand something. So again,
Let-
you're telling
let me
me
just explain.
that Donald Trump's plan to prevent illegal immigration is to ensure that people are not crossing the river, for example, at the Texas border. Okay, but what is the plan to ensure that's not happening? Right,
bill
that's what you
said-
didn't mention it.
The bill said 7,000 a
I
day
appreciate what you're talking about
for
on the bill.
7 days.
Again,
Okay. So
you said
say-
yourself that the policy that
say it
Biden
was-
Harris and Mike Johnson put forth
Yeah.
was also endorsed by border security, as it was. We know that to be true.
Step in the
Now,
right
we got to
direction.
recognize that that policy would have secured an immediate relief to those monitoring the border by ensuring that they had the support and resources they need, both through financial support and also through workforce development. But now, right, we take a look at what Donald Trump will do during his second term in office, and I'm asking you what his plan consists of, and you haven't actually described what the plan is. You said, well, he'll ensure that people aren't crossing a river or coming in through an illegal channel. Okay,
I said
but
they
what is the
should come through
process?
I said they should come through the ports of entry. That's for sure.
You want them to cross a river to get
No,
into Texas?
no.
Okay,
I said
right.
the port of entry, not.
But I just said, for example, so what is the process to ensure that
and
Donald
I
Trump
don't
is securing
know.
the border?
I don't know exactly.
But
how
that's
he's
a
gonna do
problem
it.
because we knew how Kamala was going to do it. You don't
But
know
it
how
was
Donald
not a
Trump was
good
going to do it.
fix. It was not a good fix. You could have.
It was a good
7,000
fix. It was
me
endorsed
just
by
make-
border security and
Let me just make
Republicans.
this one point. You could have 7,000 people cross for 6 days. On the 7th day, it could be
Listen,
5,000.
you can keep
then the week
repeating
started
yourself.
again.
You can keep repeating yourself, and that's fine and dandy. The issue here
I'm
is that
saying
I
the
still don't have a
cumulative
response
effect
to the
would have
question
been
I asked.
terrible.
Again, I hear you, and you have repeated yourself 4 times. What I need to know, though,
Yeah,
is
but I
what
don't
Donald
think
Trump's...
you're hearing me.
I wish I was hearing you less because you keep cutting me off. So again, what is Donald Trump's plan to secure the border? I asked you, you said you don't know. I think that speaks volumes to how little of a plan he actually has. He spoke on mass deportation. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I don't believe that's going to happen. I think what will happen, in my opinion, is that the undocumented criminal element that crossed the border, we know there's 13,009, according to Border Patrol, were convicted murderers. They'll go back. And other people have committed crimes. They'll go back. I don't think it ever get around
that's-
to knocking on doors and dragging people out of houses.
But that is deportation, and that's already underway, right? When we have a criminal who is caught in our country now, right? You have an undocumented immigrant. Let's say that they're also a criminal. If they're caught, they're detained and deported. We're not like doing it. There's no catch and release policy, for example. So what you're
Not in
speaking on
Frankfurt City,
is
they're not.
what you're speaking on is deportation, as is. Donald Trump is championing, pardon me, mass deportation. So you're saying that he's not going to accomplish that, but he says that that's his day one plan. So let's say he doesn't accomplish that. That means that he didn't accomplish his only policy, his only promise when it came to the border. So for you and your party, you would should be praying he accomplishes that, because that's his only promise when it comes to the border. That would mean that he broke his only promise on the border. So let's say he does accomplish that. For example, if he does get the House, that would be fairly easy for him to accomplish. So let's say he does. What does that process look like?
How would he accomplish mass deportation of 11 million
This
people?
is your candidate.
No, I don't believe he will.
But then that means he broke his only promise when it came to border security. This is the only policy he ran on.
Well, I think the American people would love to see the criminal element out. You say that they're already deported. They're not being deported. And
They
we
are.
see-
That's not debatable.
No,
No, that's not a debate I'm willing to have.
they go to a sanctuary city, there's no ICE detainer.
That's just not true. People who are criminals and are undocumented immigrants are detained and deported. That's a fact. The process of
In a sanctuary city?
the process of mass deportation is a different process. And without you pivoting, I would like you to tell us what that process is and how your candidate, who is now going to be our president, is going to pursue that process. You can't just tell us 2 days after the election that he's going to break that promise. Like you're already setting the stage for a broken promise by Donald Trump. That's kind of, that's kind of typical, actually, now that I think about it. Is this going to be like where he didn't replace the ACA like he said he was going to? He didn't build the wall like he said he was going to do? What? Now we're in the infrastructure package. He didn't do it. Now you're setting the stage for him not doing mass deportation either. It was his only policy. It was his only promise when it came to the border. Why would he not do it?
I think the American people would be happy to say, and you say that they're being deported. It's false. Sanctuary cities, they're not. There's no ICE detainer put on them. You can't deny that.
No, I can,
Okay.
because it's just not true.
Okay,
But again,
yeah, it
without
is
you
true.
pivoting, and I appreciate you pivoting, I appreciate you repeating yourself and pivoting.
Well,
right?
I
I
you're not
appreciate-
telling the truth.
No, you're not telling the truth. If you
There
think
were
I'm not,
no
please
ICE
get me a source.
detainers
Get me a
put
source.
on
Feel free to
criminals.
get me a source while you answer my question. You are setting the stage for Donald Trump to break his only promise when it came to the border, that being mass deportation, right? We know that Donald Trump broke his promise when it came to replacing the ACA. He didn't do it. When it came to building the wall, he didn't do it. When it came to his infrastructure package, he didn't do it. 2 days after the election, you're already saying that you don't believe he's going to implement mass deportation.
I don't think
This is the only promise your
I mean,
candidate
that's just my
had.
opinion. That's my opinion.
So
I
let's
don't
say
think
your
he will.
opinion's wrong, and let's say he does accomplish this, and if he has the House of Representatives, he would absolutely be able to accomplish this. How is he going to implement that, and what does that process look like? Because when we look at history on mass deportation, for example, 2 times it was implemented here. We've got World War II, the deportation of the Jews regarding the Holocaust and their anti-Semitic policies leading to mass deportations of Jews and those deemed undesirable by the state. And also during the Soviet Union, the deportation of ethnic minorities under Joseph Stalin. So we're looking at a policy that
referenced-
falls in line with both World War II Germany and the Soviet Union, which I don't think we would want to be associated with them.
He
If I'm
referenced
wrong
the
on this,
deport-
then please do correct me, and
Yeah.
do so by explaining what the policy is.
He referenced Eisenhower having mass deportation. I had never heard that. Do you know anything about it?
No, I don't really know what you're like. I don't know when he mentioned this.
He said it would be the
So-
largest mass deportation since Eisenhower.
Okay, so
And I don't,
it's still-
and I am not aware of that.
yeah, I still don't have any idea what that means or what that's referring to or in what context he was using it. I don't want to infer what Trump was talking about because sometimes he says things that are just kind of like whack. So I don't want to be like, oh yeah, this is what he meant because I don't know what he meant, and only I'll look it up later. But besides that,
Yeah,
I mean
would appreciate that.
Eisenhower
I'm going
was
to try to
yeah.
do some research on that myself because I had never heard that before. And evidently, I didn't see it refuted in the mainstream media. So maybe it did happen, but I'll find out about it too.
But so help me understand this again. This is Donald Trump's one policy when it comes to the border. It was his one promise, thus being mass deportation. I'm curious as to how in line he feels he's going to pursue that process, because as mentioned, the 2 times we've seen mass deportation surround World War II Germany, which I don't want America to be like World War II Germany.
No, I don't want that either.
And then you look at the Soviet Union as well under Joseph Stalin, and I don't think that we fall in line with that either. So this is 2 instances of mass deportation when it came to ethnic minorities and Jews. In what sense is Donald Trump going to pursue mass deportation, and how would it be different from these 2 instances?
Well, as I said, I don't know how he intends to do it. I don't think he can accomplish it. But let me just make one point, and this is a little different topic. You must recognize that he won a majority of this country.
Oh, sure.
It was a very diverse coalition.
Absolutely.
You had Arabs, you had Amish, you had Jews, you had blacks, you had young people, you had white people, and so on. Doesn't that send a message to you that they see something you're not seeing?
No, not at all. For 2 points. One being that I grew up in a rural conservative area. So I see both sides of the aisle very well, which is why I can identify in part exactly where the communication and messaging issue was by the Kamala Harris campaign and where Trump's campaign persevered in that messaging. For example, look no further than the northeastern region of Pennsylvania, where you have Hispanic Americans. That region was typically untouched by the Harris campaign, and yet Trump's campaign completely hammered that area. And in part, that's what led to not only him flipping the state, but also winning 2 congressional districts in northeastern Pennsylvania.
I agree. He had a great strategy when it came to that. He went to Philadelphia and places like that.
That's not the northeast of
No,
Pennsylvania.
I know that. But
then
what I'm saying,
one
the
more
reason he went
point being
there-
too, he reached out to young men. He tapped into a young male electorate, and he did so in a way that the Harris campaign didn't. But that being said, you're mentioning like this diverse background endorsing Donald Trump by making him the next president. Okay, and a diverse background, that same exact background put forth Kamala Harris as a candidate, endorsed her with their vote. He is ahead by a few million votes, but we can't discount the 67 million votes that went towards Kamala Harris. That's so you can't just say, "Oh, Johnny, I think you're missing something because you went for Kamala." Like, are those 67 million Americans missing something? No.
Was it shocking to you?
So I want to get back onto
the
back to the topic of immigration here, where we stood. I have a source here regarding the American Immigration Council. They estimate that to mass deport even 1 million undocumented immigrants in accordance to Donald Trump's plan, that would be a price tag of $88 million. So can you tell me, like, in what sense is this going to be economically feasible?
Well, in the grand scheme of things, that's not a lot of money, but I just, I don't want the mass deportation, and that is not the only reason that I voted for him was border security.
That's not a lot of money.
No, not compared to the trillions that have been spent. That cost.
I apologize. It's 88 billion, not million.
Yeah.
Is it a lot of money now? Because that leads to $1 trillion after 10 years. I realize I said million. That's on me.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
So anyway,
Yeah,
is
that's
that
a lot of
economically feasible?
That's a lot
Is
of
that
money.
economic? So
Yeah.
it's not economically feasible.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
So then again, if this is the process that your candidate was running on and you're looking forward to his presidency in the sense of the border, knowing that this process is going to be both expensive coming out of the pockets of middle-class Americans through their tax dollars, because there's not a fund for $1 trillion to be allocated to the border right now. There would have been if they passed that border deal, but Donald Trump had blocked it. You can't tell me how he would pursue the process of mass deportation. So we can only go off of what we saw during World War II, and that's not a very popular process.
And I'll concede the point to you. I don't think it's going to happen. But let me just ask you one question. Mm-hmm. What were your takeaways that he won the popular vote and the Electoral College by a landslide? What were your takeaways?
I think it comes down to messaging in 2 parts. One, and let's talk about the economy as well here so that we can explain that to everybody tuning in too.
Thank you.
The inflation rate, for example, we know it's lower today than it was in 2018. It's 2.1% today, it's 2.4% then. But costs at the grocery store are still high, and that in part has to do with corporate greed. People aren't going to recognize that. And unless we're doing a good job, and clearly we didn't, if we were doing a good job at explaining that, maybe the outcome would have been different. But when you go to the grocery store and you hear, for example, and this is again coming from me, from somebody from rural America, rural Pennsylvania. When you go to the grocery store and you see that you can't pay out of pocket for your children's lunches for their schools, and yet you hear in your left ear nonstop, like, we got to protect abortion rights and we got to do protect and I'm saying this as a gay guy too, like, if you want to protect LGBTQ plus rights, I get where this isn't selfish of a parent, where that parent would say, you got to stop talking to me about this, I need to focus on my children. Donald Trump is saying he's going to lower costs, so I'm going to give him my vote. We needed simple messaging. We didn't have that. And our messaging was very collective. It was we. And again, I don't want to hear about we when me's kids are not eating. So I think that that's where there should have been a difference. But
I saw a lady that was crying about that. She said, under Trump, and you can argue whether it was Obama. People say he inherited Obama's good economy. I think he did, but I think he did, he carried it on. And then they say Biden's poor economy was Trump's. But be that as it may, this lady was saying, I had no debt. We had no debt under Trump. Our credit cards are maxed out. I have to put things back. I can't afford it. I just want to be able to pay the bills, get back to where we were. And I think he really tapped into that.
Sure.
And
well, I think in part too, one, people have already forgotten about the pandemic. Like, it is like a distant memory, and it seems as though, according to the polls, exit polls, that is long forgotten. So people, when they see higher costs at the grocery store, for example, they don't recognize that we're still in a pandemic response. The pandemic didn't just disappear, and no policy was implemented to drive up costs under the Biden-Harris administration.
Yeah.
But it's also difficult to explain exactly what we're seeing with Donald Trump's economy in his first term, because it's a lot to grasp. And people really want a straightforward answer. That's not something you can provide on this. For example, we know under Donald Trump, he had his Jobs and Tax Act of 2017. This gave a 1% to 2% tax cut to the middle class, 14% in tax cuts to corporations. The corporate tax cut led to an $8 trillion debt. Middle class Americans pay that off. But people don't even typically get that far into a policy. They read the 1% to 2% tax cut, and then they say, okay, I got a tax cut. And now Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis harped on this during the primary, and they were right to do so. The tariffs that Donald Trump had implemented, for example, the 25% tariff on soybeans, produce, pork.
Yeah, well, he tariffed their steel, and they tariffed our soybeans.
Right.
And we wind up bailing out the farmers.
Our produce, exactly. And so this ended up driving up costs on middle class consumers by well over $100 billion. So costs go up. We're paying off a debt, but we don't notice these things, or at least we didn't under his term, because we were seeing more money in our pay stub. So we were getting less in pocket than we were putting out, but we're not noticing what we're putting out. We're just noticing what we get. And so I think in part that's something that could have been better explained. I have no idea how you explain something that intricate, though, to voters, which is why I'm not running for the presidency.
It's very difficult, isn't it? Now, you have to admit the October jobs report is not indicative of a good economy. 12,000 jobs.
Well, there were 223,000 jobs in the private sector, and that also has to do with President Biden and his policies.
No, I'm talking about the month of October. There were 12,000 jobs.
Right, and there were 223,000 as well in the private sector. You're discounting the 223,000 jobs.
I don't know about that. I don't think that's
you can look it up if you want.
I will.
You can fact check me now.
I will. No, that's okay.
I'm fine with that.
Let me just say that I think that you're right. Kamala's messaging was not good, and she did not. I don't think she tapped in enough to what some of the successes of the Biden administration were, bipartisan bills and that sort of thing. Why she didn't do it, I don't know.
I think it really came down to, again, just telling people how you're going to put food on the table. Because again, Kamala Harris's tax policy is far better than Donald Trump's tax policy. Kamala Harris and what she would offer to middle-class Americans, whether it be through $25,000 for first-time home buyers, $50,000 for small business entrepreneurs, $6,000 permanent child tax credit, that would benefit young parents, middle-class Americans.
I get that.
However, where she could have pursued better messaging would have just simply had been by explaining she wants to ban price gouging. That's a policy. Harping on, we're banning price gouging. Here's exactly what your cost is going to drop to by this year, and I will make it happen.
Exactly.
That's
And
not something
also,
that happened, but
you need to be a little better prepared for questions. For example, she wanted to raise the corporate
Oh no, I
rate.
disagree on that.
Well,
She
let me
was
just
very well
explain what I'm
informed when it
trying
came
to-
to answers and
Yeah.
questions. Donald
Yeah.
Trump never answered a
And
single question
I'm very
that
aware of
was
the
asked
tax
upon
policy.
him.
You know, her tax policy was
Here's a good example, right? And let's get back into immigration. You're talking about how she could have better answered on questions, but she always provided answers. Some people may have not understood the answers, reasonably so. Politics and policies are tough and intricate and detailed. Donald Trump, when he was asked a question in regards to, for example, mass deportation, he wouldn't respond. And when I asked you what's his policy for mass deportation, you couldn't tell me. So if we're being realistic here, Donald Trump was not answering any questions in regard to his policies. Kamala was giving out facts, stats, percentages, information, and that educated voters.
okay. In one interview, her tax policy, raised the corporate rate to 28%, tax people over 400,000, tax people making 100 million or more on unrealized capital gains, and that would pay for her $25,000 first time down payment on a house, $50,000 business startup, 3 million new homes, all of that sort of thing. So the question that Dana Bash asked her is, what if your tax plan doesn't pass Congress? Because I think we all pretty much knew that the GOP would flip the Senate.
We didn't know that. And I think we got to recognize here that if you're saying that she wouldn't respond to
No,
somebody
here's how
asking
she,
her what
I'll
if.
tell you how she responded. She
Okay.
said, it has to pass. And see, that's not a good answer. You could say,
Why is
that's
that
when
not a
I
good
need
answer?
to use my, that was her exact.
No, why is that not a good answer, though? I mean, she's saying it has to pass.
because it's not going to, it wouldn't have passed.
Okay, but wait, we gotta recognize something. If Kamala Harris, like Donald Trump, if either of these two candidates were asked, what are you gonna do if something doesn't pass? Like, they're not gonna hypothesize on that sort of thing. They're not gonna come up with a hypothetical for that, especially when they're campaigning. I
I'm not
wouldn't
a
recommend either
politician,
candidate do
but
that
I could
because
easily
politically that
say-
would hurt down ballot races.
Yeah, I could easily say, well, if my tax plan didn't pass, if the reason I think it will pass is if they get the majority in the Senate, then I will work across the aisle and I will convince enough to get to the 60 vote threshold to pass it. And that would have been a good answer. Not it has to pass.
Okay, but she has also spoke on that numerous times as well, and she did say that too. And I've watched these interviews. Listen, when we
Yeah, I
look at
didn't hear
Kamala
that.
Harris,
I didn't hear her say that.
we have somebody who, for example, passed the infrastructure package and the Inflation Reduction Act in a bipartisan way. If she were to become president, I would have had no doubt that she could have accomplished her policies in a bipartisan way.
It would have been a very good time to say that, just as
This is something she has explained and championed on. But then you look at Donald Trump, right? And Donald Trump doesn't have a record of accomplishing things in a bipartisan way. And this is exactly why many of his policies are not going to pass. More specifically, if Democrats do take the House, and they are currently on track to do so. If
I
they
think it's
do,
the opposite.
oh, well, I guess we'll get there when we get there, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter now. If they do take the House, okay, knowing that he couldn't replace the ACA because he didn't want to reach across the aisle, knowing that he couldn't build the wall because he didn't want to reach across the aisle, knowing he couldn't accomplish an infrastructure package because he wouldn't reach across the aisle, we have to imagine that he's not going to accomplish anything if they take the House. If he takes the House, that's a different story. But that brings me back to immigration. We look at undocumented immigrants, right? We know that they contribute to our economy. We know that they contribute to our workforce. More specifically, like look at Florida. I find this very interesting. I'm big into agriculture. I love our farmers. We got to support our farmers, not tariff and tax our farmers like Donald Trump did during his first term. But for example, you look at the undocumented immigrant workforce. In 2023, undocumented immigrants represented roughly 5% of the country's total workforce. Those aren't jobs that we want, to be clear. That's like, we don't want, these are jobs that we expect them to work. These are not jobs that like you
And they
want.
will do it. They are some of the hardest working people I've
Sure
ever
are.
seen in my entire life.
So
And
the overall
and you got 45%
contribution,
of their vote.
but the overall, they don't vote. So
No,
the
I'm talking
overall,
about legal Hispanics.
the overall contribution
Or
to the U.S.
documented.
GDP by undocumented immigrants was about $300 billion to $450 billion per year. So let's say that Donald Trump implements mass deportation. takes out all undocumented immigrants from the equation, that is a $300 to $450 GDP cut, and this is a contribution to our economy from people who don't receive benefits in regards to Social Security, in regards to Medicaid, in regards to WIC or SNAP or any program that offers benefits to Americans. They're contributing to the economy without getting it back. But again, like, we should be advocating for a pathway to citizenship, in my belief, in a more comprehensive passage because of what we see in, for example, Florida. Florida, roughly 40% of farm workers are undocumented in Florida. You take that 40% away from farmers, who's going to make that up?
That's right.
They're already struggling to find labor.
We do need a much better pathway to legalization than we have. That's the problem. People don't want to wait in line 8 years to get in our country when they can come across the border and be here. How that's accomplished, I don't know. Presidents have struggled with that for years. It's never been solved.
But that is because of the Republican Party. And so when some people saw this taking place, they chose to put a Republican into the presidency. I mean, SB 1718 cost Florida's economy.
Did Biden get it passed? He's a Democrat.
Right, but they don't have the majority to actually accomplish something like that. So this is why it would make more sense to put more Democrats into office because, for example, you have SB 1718, which cost Florida's economy $12.6 billion in its first year. This punishes employers who use undocumented labor, and this was passed by Governor Ron DeSantis. So Ron DeSantis passed a crackdown on immigration, and it cost his own economy and farmers $12.6 billion. But there are policies that are put forth by Democrats. For example, the Farm Workforce Modernization Act. Republicans didn't like it because it would have provided a pathway to citizenship for those who are making up that 40% of the agricultural workforce. So again, like, farmers keep getting fucked over by the Republican Party, and yet they're they're like championing themselves as the agriculture party. It just seems silly.
Yeah. So your takeaway from the majority of the Americans with a very diverse coalition.
To be clear,
Voting,
you're saying majority,
I
but you're
am.
talking about 7 million
Okay.
people out of more than 60 million on
he
each
got
side.
the
Let's be
majority of the
realistic.
vote, and it was a very diverse coalition. And your takeaway was she didn't message well.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. See, I think that's where you miss it. I think
No, I
they're
disagree.
telling you.
I disagree because this isn't a hypothetical. We know it was messaging, right? It's not policy focused. Her policies were better for the middle class. The middle class is the backbone of the economy. It came down to messaging. For example, it came down to how are you going to put food on the table for middle class Americans? Kamala's policies would have accomplished that. Donald Trump's policies do not accomplish that, but Donald Trump said he was going to do that, and Kamala explained how she was going to do that when she should have simply just said, here's exactly how I'm going to do this, 3, 2, 1, I have 5-second equation for you, boom, done. Like it should have been Kamala saying, I'm going to put food on your table. Not here's my policy to put food on your table. Donald Trump does not have a policy to put food on the table, so he just said he was going to do it.
Yes.
But we know, for example, that his economic policy is going to cost consumers through his tariffs, for example. The tariffs that he wants to re-implement on agriculture is a good example. The 60% tariff on China, that's going to be slapped back into our face. It's a trade war. 20%, pardon me, 10 to 20% on European countries. You're looking at like a $3 trillion debt. Who pays for that? We pay for that.
Yeah. Which again, I don't think it happened. I think it's a bargaining chip more than anything. When he had a conversation with President Xi, President Xi congratulated him, but also said, cooperation is what we need. We don't want confrontation. And so I don't know. We'll see how it works out. But let me say something. I talked to you once before, and I could not speak, and you were much more receptive to what I was saying, even though you disagreed with it and said I was repeating and things like that, and perhaps I was. But I do appreciate the conversation, and I will just have to wait and see how he does. I think that you're going to be pleasantly surprised. I hope.
Listen.
And I hope I am too.
Listen, the way that I see it is if I'm pleasantly surprised with Trump's administration, I would be deeply shocked, just judging by what we saw with his first administration. That being said, we should always hope that our president steps into the Oval Office with the best intent of Americans, and we pray that they do well. And it doesn't matter who the president is. I know that Republicans disagree, as they were deeply, they didn't like Joe Biden. They didn't give him a chance.
I totally agree. Whoever wins, it's incumbent to say, okay, my party didn't win, but I support President Biden in what he does, and I wish him success. I mean, and had Kamala won, I'd have done the same thing. I'd have said, you know what, I don't really agree with a lot of what she's saying, but I could be wrong, but she's my president. And that's what we need to, we all need to get to that point.
All right. Well, hey, man, thank you for coming up. I appreciate you taking the time.
I really appreciate it. And talk to you later.
Have a good one.
You too.
Alrighty, folks. Again, if you are voting for Donald Trump, join the guest request. Well, not voting for Donald Trump, if you voted for Donald Trump. But at this rate, knowing that Donald Trump wants to be a dictator on day one, hey, maybe he'll go for that third term, even though it's unconstitutional. Haha, that was a joke. It'd probably be more funny, though, if it wasn't, like, horrible. So anyway, if you are someone who had voted for Donald Trump, join the guest request. Let's have a conversation. If you voted for Kamala Harris, hit that like button. Please hit the share button. Help us get to 100,000 likes. I want to say a massive thank you to folks who contributed on Venmo and PayPal. A massive thank you to Amanda for the $2. Thank you for the love. And Gina for the $10 on PayPal. Thank you so much for the love. All right, let's get up our next guest. Do we have any mods on, by the way?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
No, I had just typed in your comments. I just heard you say about the Trump supporter. So I was like, oh, well, maybe this is your Trump supporter night. If I'm not one. So if you want to drop me down and bring up somebody else, that's 100%.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Powerhouse. All right, so we got Powerhouse here. Let me make sure that you have full mod access. Okay, cool. We need... Awesome. We got Kai too. Okay, cool. Thank you, mods. Thank you so much. All right, let's get up our next guest. Hey, Sherry. How you doing?
Oh, very good. How are you?
Doing good. So what's up? You voted for Trump?
I voted for Trump. This is my third time voting for him. I see it from a different view than you. I see that so many people are struggling. I mean, you know what? I
don't disagree. People are absolutely struggling.
It's a business. I do credit repair. You should see all the trouble that people are in. And I don't I don't just mean like low income people, high income, everybody. Everybody has so much debt, hospital debt. Student loans are ridiculous. You have no idea how many student loans. I don't know how that's.
Wouldn't it be great if we could just forgive them?
They don't. They don't. Even with bankruptcy,
we tried. We tried to forgive those student loans, but Donald Trump had blocked the plan to forgive student loans, right?
Well, that was
so you're talking about
plan. Biden was going to forgive
right,
him.
but Donald Trump blocked that plan.
How did he block it? He wasn't in office.
He has 3 Supreme Court justices that he had introduced to the equation, and those justices slapped down student loan forgiveness. Yes, I know. I know, and that was what Donald Trump was capable of accomplishing through, for example, executive orders.
No, some people did get it. Not very many, but some did.
You're not listening. So again, you're not listening. I'm not moving on.
Okay,
so again, student loan forgiveness was slapped down by Donald Trump's 3 Supreme Court justices. We have to recognize that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris put forth a bill that would have forgiven student loan debt in its entirety. You're talking about people struggling due to student loan debt, and I agree. It would be nice if we could have forgiven that. We couldn't forgive it across the board because of Donald Trump and his justices. That being said, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, after having run into trouble with Donald Trump and his justices, continue to take further action. For example, we have somebody in the comments here who just said that Biden forgave all their student loans $62,000 worth. So people still benefited due to executive orders that President Biden signed, but the plan that would have solved the equation for so many of those people struggling with student loan debt that you're dealing with was prevented by Donald Trump.
You're right. I can't get student loans off. The other thing is that we have so many people who have to it seems like so many people have two jobs. They're like a teacher, and then on the side, they're like an Uber driver or an Amazon driver. Even the postal workers, the postal worker who comes to our office, every day she works for USPS, but on the side, she drives for Amazon on Sundays because she makes time and a half. I mean, people have two jobs. That's not normal. And these people are like in their 50s and 60s doing that.
But that is not because of Democrats. That is because of Republicans.
Okay,
for
so another
two
thing is
reasons.
that- okay,
One
another
being
thing.
that MAGA Republicans in the U.S. Congress are preventing numerous bills from expanding the minimum wage. For example, the minimum wage in Pennsylvania is $7.25. That will buy you a bag of Tostitos. Like that's not a wage.
What is it? Wait, where do you live?
In Pennsylvania, the minimum wage is $7.25. That's the minimum wage, and well over 100,000 people are making that right now in Pennsylvania alone.
Wow.
And so we got to recognize that until
Well,
Republicans
why didn't
allow
Biden
passage,
raise it? I thought they were
because
raising
Republicans
it to
won't allow
$50.
it.
Oh,
You said
somebody just told
15?
Massachusetts is $15.
Yeah, so there are state
$15.
legislatures that have allowed for that to take place, but the federal government won't let it take place because of the Republican majority. You then also, again, have to look at a state like Pennsylvania that has a Republican Senate, but a Democratic House. The Democratic House tried to pass the bill that would have expanded the $7.25 minimum wage. The Republican Senate blocked it. So now there are people making that minimum wage, but the minimum wage needs to be increased. $7.25 an hour is not a livable
Terrible.
wage.
No, it's not a livable wage. That
That's
kind
what
of
it is in
person has to have two
Texas.
jobs.
That's what it is in Indiana.
Like when my kids were getting out of school at 22, by 26, they had houses. They were buying houses. People today can't buy houses. People, I don't know how old you are, but people who are 26 are still living at home with their parents. They can't
brother's-
even afford apartments. Yeah.
My brother's 26. He just bought a home. Actually, he's closing on it now. So congrats to you,
good.
my
Well,
brother.
congrats, yeah.
But that being said, I think that that's
Right.
directly
A lot of
contradictory
people
to what you
can't,
just
so
said.
many people cannot move
Yes,
out.
houses
I know
need to
that
be
that's
cheaper.
true.
Housing needs to be cheaper. But again, Kamala Harris had a plan to offer a $25,000 exactly down payment to first-time home buyers,
I
and
do
that is
think,
for
I
those
think
young
the
people you're referring
Democrats
to.
are really way out of touch with what's going on in the world. That's why I think that all of you are so
disagree.
shocked.
No, I
That's why
disagree.
you're so shocked that he won the
No.
popular vote and the
Nope.
electoral vote. Why'd so many
No.
people vote for him?
Nope. So again, it comes down to messaging. It wasn't, we know for a fact that Donald Trump's policies will not economically benefit middle-class Americans. We know
What's
that
his
Kamala's
message?
policies would.
So
Donald
why
Trump,
didn't she win?
you're not letting me speak.
Okay,
May
go
I do
ahead.
so?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So again, Kamala's policies would have benefited middle-class Americans, including those you're talking about, those who struggled with student loan debt, those who struggle buying homes. We agree on that. Donald Trump does not have policies to economically benefit middle-class Americans. It's just not part of his platform. It's not even like somebody can't turn around and say, yes, because if so, then please do tell me what those policies are. Nobody can because he never put forth any. It's just not part of the policy that he has. That being said, he ran on lowering costs. Kamala, for example, said, we are going to, pardon me, ban price gouging, which has led to higher costs at the grocery store. But for a mother that just wants to put food on the table, when they go to the grocery store and they see higher costs, they're not listening to Kamala Harris talk about corporate greed. They're just looking at the two candidates on their ticket and saying, you know what? Right now, Biden's president, there's higher costs. I don't know exactly why there's higher costs. They might not know that inflation is actually technically, like the inflation rate is lower today than that of what it was under Donald Trump. But corporate greed has led to higher costs. They're not going to recognize all this. They're going to say, Joe Biden's president, there's higher costs. I'm going to make Donald Trump president. He's going to lower costs. Even though we recognize that Donald Trump's economic plan will lead to higher costs at the grocery
I guess
store.
we're going to have to wait and see what happens.
Well, it's not really
But the other
like
thing is,
it's not like a
we're
wait
gonna
and see
See
thing.
what happens. We'll wait and see what happens.
It's not really a wait and see thing. We already know what's going to happen, right?
gonna
Like, because the
happen?
economists say so. And the economists got it right the first time.
I heard that Wharton school that was fake, and somebody else who she said Wharton school said the economist
Did you
there
just
said
say the Wharton school is fake?
no, that they said that his economy won't work. That was fake, and there was
It's
another
not fake.
person.
What are you
that-
talking about?
That wasn't true. You can go Google.
What are you talking about?
Wharton Kamala. Yeah, I said
Right, the Penn Wharton economist. So Penn Wharton economist.
and there was somebody
I know what you're
else
talking
that said
about.
that was totally false. Both
That's
things
just
are
not true. It's not false. Penn
I
Wharton
Google it.
economist Google again. I don't know what to tell you.
And I have one more
are
thing
you
to
saying?
tell
I'm
you.
sorry. Are you saying that the Penn Wharton?
I think
Excuse me.
the
Are you saying that
Biden
the Penn Wharton
administration
economists were
ruined our
wrong,
country.
or are you saying that the math was wrong? What was wrong with what the Penn Wharton economists said?
I don't have long to talk. I just have one more.
You're just going to
point I
pivot?
wanna make.
You just pivot right over it. That ain't going to work
I'm
for
not
me.
pivoting. I'm meeting a friend
Okay,
at
but you
6
are.
o'clock for dinner.
Well, then, okay, go do that. Like, what do you mean? I'm not going to let you pivot. If you need to go, just go. That's
Okay.
right.
Right. No, I just wanted to say one more thing. This is my other thing.
We're not going to
I
say
think
another
that they-
thing if we don't. We can either spend the
Okay, go
time
ahead.
on the topic
I
we're
read
discussing,
that
or you
whoever,
can leave.
I heard that she was fact checked. She was fact checked
she wasn't.
at the debate,
She
and
wasn't.
that the Wharton economist and there was
This isn't
another
even from
one
the debate. So
that said
Penn
they
Wharton
never even-
economists, let's look first and foremost at what Penn Wharton economists said during Donald Trump's first term, how they were correct, and what they're saying about his second term. During his first term, Donald Trump's tariffs, like the 25% tariff on agriculture, the 25% tariff on produce, soybean, pork, they said that would lead to well over $100 billion in tax hikes on the middle class on their grocery costs. It did. They were right. We paid that off. The tariffs were a tax on the middle class.
Biden
They said
still
that-
has the same tariffs.
Excuse me. No, he doesn't.
Oh yes, he does. I'm going to pull it up. He has
Pardon
the
me.
same.
Pardon me, he has some of the same tariffs that have been adjusted. Most of the tariffs, like that tariff on agriculture, it's no longer in place. Okay. So, for example, Donald
He's
Trump
got his own tariffs too.
Pardon
There's
me.
tariffs.
Yes, tariffs aren't an issue. The tariffs that Donald Trump was implementing, many of them were the issue, like that 25% tariff on agriculture that hurt us, that led to $100 billion in tax hikes on us. His 14% tax cut for corporations led to an $8 trillion debt. These are items that middle class Americans pay off and shouldn't have had to have paid off, and they're still paying them off. You look at
Donnie,
Donald
I have
Trump
to
now.
tell Alexa,
He says
turn
he's
off
going to
the
put a
bedroom lamp.
60% tariff on on
talking to my
China,
Alexa.
a 20% tariff on European countries. This is going to lead, according to the Penn Wharton economists who got it right the first time, to a $3 trillion debt. That's
And
an
the
additional
other thing
$3
is,
trillion
I
to the
feel
8
like-
that we already have from Trump.
Okay, my other
and
last
an additional
point-
hike raise of $2,500 to $4,000 on middle class consumers every single year. So I'm going to be paying for $3 trillion for a tariff war that he lost the first time, but apparently wants round two. And then I'm also going to be paying $2,500 to $4,000 out of pocket when I want my cost to be cheaper. He's not tackling price gouging, though, which is what we know to be the cause of these higher costs. He's tackling China, which has nothing to do with these grocery costs right now. This is fully within America's grasp to change, and he's not spending time on alleviating the issue.
Like
he
I
should
said,
be
you'll
holding
have to wait
Kroger
and
accountable.
see.
He should be holding Walmart accountable. He should be holding ShopRite accountable. He's not doing that. And that's an issue.
I make my last point to you. I think
Sure.
that the Biden administration ruined the world by letting all those immigrants in.
What are you
Ruined
talking
the world.
about?
There's more crime now. There's more illegal immigrants. There's more.
No.
Oh, there's not? You don't think so?
Stop.
Crazy? What world are you living in?
Statistically, you are wrong. And
No,
I
I'm
love
not.
numbers. I love the numbers. Listen,
glad
first
you
and
love
foremost,
numbers.
we have to recognize.
Come to Detroit. Listen, come to Detroit sometime.
Pardon me. The reason why I love numbers is because you are a Republican. I am a Democrat. We can agree or disagree on whatever we want. It does not matter. The numbers do not change. We can agree on something and we could both be completely wrong, but we have the numbers. The numbers don't change. So we have to recognize, right? If you're arguing that immigration was, well, you have got a lot of background noise. For example, right? The Border Patrol recorded 58,038 encounters with migrants crossing the U.S.-Mexico border in August of this year. Okay, that's according to a Pew Research Center analysis of latest available government statistics. That is a 77% decline from encounters in December. So Joe Biden, under his presidency, had a 77% decline from encounters of migrants at the border within a year. He is now at around 58,038 encounters, okay, in August of this year. Those numbers don't change, right? The numbers are the numbers. You can disagree with them. You can agree with them. It doesn't matter. Those are the numbers, and that is the fact. This is lower than that of what we saw under Donald Trump. For example, in May of 2019, Donald Trump saw 132,000 encounters before a sharp decrease due to the pandemic. So Republicans say, well, Donald Trump at the end of his term had historically low crossings. Of course he did, because there was a pandemic. Why would anybody be crossing into our country when our economy was closed? And yet we have to recognize that Donald Trump, in a month, right around summer, had 132,000 encounters. Joe Biden, summer, 58,000 encounters. So Trump, 132,000, Biden, 58,000. And like, those are the numbers. We don't get to change the numbers if we like them or don't like them. Those are the numbers. And that's why I love numbers, because nobody gets to change them. It's just what it is. But whenever you're ready, if you want to respond, that'd be great. Sherry, you might need to click on your profile photo and then there. Okay. No, not Siri. I'm good without you. Sherry. Whenever you're ready. Okay, for the final time, girl. Nobody's talking to you. Hi.
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. The other thing is that I don't know how you feel, but I think it's terrible that the
did you hear me on the numbers?
students-
Pardon me. Did you hear me on those numbers?
Oh, that you think that
Okay.
Biden did a better job?
You're saying think.
the wall,
It's not.
the
Hold on. You're saying
immigration?
think. You're saying think. It's not a think thing. It's a statistic thing. You can't say think when it's the statistics. We know. I know he did better.
So not
Again,
too
the
many.
Border
So you're going to
Patrol.
tell me not too many people came here in the past 3 years? Not
Ma'am.
very many immigrants
Ma'am.
came here illegally.
No, many did. I would prefer if no illegal immigrants come here, but yet the record
too.
shows that there were less than that of under Donald Trump. I just gave you the numbers. I can say them again if you want me to. The Border Patrol recorded 58,000 encounters with migrants crossing the U.S.-Mexico border in August. That's a 77% decline since December, right? Donald Trump had 132,000. That is well over double what Joe Biden had, both in summer months.
August of what year? August of what year?
That's August of this year.
Yeah, what about before that? How many were coming over? There's been at least
right.
like
No, again, that's why I made
millions
it
of
clear.
people.
You have again, that's why I made clear there was a sharp decline by the end of Donald Trump's presidency and a sharp incline after a year around of Joe Biden's presidency. And the reason for that is because of the pandemic. Donald Trump's economy was closed. Nobody was coming over because there were no jobs. And there was also nothing but disease to be found here. Then you have an incline because Joe Biden reopened the economy and the pandemic diminished. And that's normal. But then Joe Biden got it under control. And now you have lower crossings than that of what you saw under Donald Trump. And I think that needs to be recognized because, again, it's not like we argue on this. These are just the numbers as provided by those at the border. I mean, it's the Border Patrol's record. Like, this is Pew Research Center's analysis of their government statistics.
okay.
It's an independent fact check
My
on
next
government
point
statistics.
why I voted for Donald Trump is because I did not like when Biden came into office and everything that Donald Trump did, he reversed it. The first thing he did was reverse 36 things. That was the most ridiculous thing. He had nothing to do but reverse everything Donald Trump did.
Okay, that's exactly
Stopped
what.
the
Hold on.
pipeline. He stopped
Wait.
fracking.
Stop.
No
Nobody
fracking.
stopped the pipeline. Nobody stopped the pipeline.
It was
Hold on.
the XL
Here's the issue.
pipeline. The
Okay,
XL pipeline
great. I
to
hear you.
Canada.
I hear you. So again,
No fracking.
ma'am, I hear you. So
Yeah.
fracking, we got to recognize first and foremost, Joe Biden passed more permits for fracking than Donald Trump. And again, that's just the fact. If you disagree, feel free to look it up.
How come Kamala said she's bringing fracking back all of a sudden?
Pardon me. Then we got to also look at that Keystone pipeline. You had mentioned this, the Keystone XL
was to
pipeline.
XL
Right.
to
For those of you
Canada.
in the chat who don't know this, there are two pipelines, the Keystone pipeline, the Keystone XL pipeline.
XL,
The
I
Keystone
know that's
pipeline
what
is operational and will never be touched. The Keystone XL pipeline, which is conflated with the Keystone pipeline, has never existed. It's a theory. It's a permit that was going to be built on indigenous lands, and they couldn't, it couldn't be constructed because we didn't own those lands. So when you're saying that Joe Biden stopped the pipeline, just know that even if Donald Trump said we're going to do the pipeline, he still wasn't going to do the pipeline because he couldn't do the pipeline. There was no
Who's gonna
way
go through
to establish
Canada?
it.
That's what I know. And the other thing is that I don't like that. what's going on college campuses with all the Palestinians and all harassing all the Jewish kids, and the kids can't go to school, they can't go to classes, they can't go to the library, and nothing happens to them. They're not punished.
Okay, I
Totally
appreciate.
against this
Listen,
anti-Semitism thing.
I appreciate you
Every one of
talking
those
about.
Palestinians
I
deported
appreciate
out
you
now.
talking about Jewish college kids and what they want. Hi, I'm a Jewish college kid, and I would like you to have voted for Kamala Harris, but you voted for
Oh, you're in
Donald Trump.
college still? You're in college?
I'm also Jewish. So again, I think that, instead of saying here, like, you were voting for
Shalom.
them. Okay.
Shalom, I say
So-
to you, shalom. I do not like any of this. You know what? I heard Donald Trump say that if anybody harasses people, if they do stuff, they're gonna be put in jail. I can't wait to see that. He will do that. They're gonna have to pay a fine. They're gonna be locked up. That's not okay. You know what? Can you imagine them going on campus and saying, "Oh, kill all the Catholic people. Kill all Catholic. If you're Catholic, let's kill you all. Kill your whole country." Or if they went on campus and said, "Kill all
Help me
the
better
black
understand
people."
this, though. And again, I disagree with any political violence in any situation for anybody on either
And not
side.
one of their- not one of their
However,
rallies-
you are
and not one of
advocating
their rallies are
advocating
peaceful.
against something of that sort taking place. And I hear you on that 100%. The issue here is then you're advocating for Donald Trump, who incited the textbook definition of an insurrection that led to violence, political violence, and left law enforcement officers unalived, right? It left families at home without their loved ones. So you're talking about shutting down, which quite literally your party advocates for, free speech, that being the free speech of those who support the Palestinian people. But then you're saying they shouldn't have free speech, but you should have free speech when it comes to January 6th. That's very hypocritical. That is very hypocritical.
Well, no, I'm saying that they should not. That their free speech when they do those rallies, it's never a peaceful rally. There's always a
But
fight.
neither was
there's
January
blood.
6th.
Well, January 6th, you know what? Donald Trump didn't say go there and break in.
No, he did.
He didn't tell them to. Oh yeah, were you there? He
He
didn't tell
marched
them
them
break
down
into
to the
Capitol
Capitol.
building.
He told them to march to the Capitol, and then he
Not to go
didn't tell them.
inside. The
He
police
didn't tell
officers
them
let
to
in.
stop. He didn't. No, those police officers
saw
were
they
fighting
had it
for
on
their
TV.
lives,
The
and we
police
know that
officers
because.
let them in the
Excuse me.
door. They let them
Excuse
in.
me. Those police officers were fighting for their lives, and we know that because law enforcement officers were left without their lives. So it was life or death for many of them. Okay? If you're saying that's peaceful, that's not peaceful. Let's stop
Do you
playing.
think it's, what about the rule that you're allowed to steal $1,000 in California? That's legal.
First of all, I don't know about that law, and I don't care
Oh, yeah,
about that
it is. You know that
What is
rule.
it? California,
You can go
to be
into
clear,
any store in California as
Hold
long
on.
as you take under $1,000.
Okay, to be clear, I don't think I don't think good people are going to go do that. I think that
People
that's.
are. You can
that-
steal up to $1,000 and not
I
go
have
to
no
jail.
idea what
It's
this is,
legal.
but I think the
Go
pivot's
look it up.
wild.
Go
I think the
look
pivot's
it,
wild.
look it up. That's
Ma'am,
the truth that you allowed
Ma'am, I wouldn't
to.
be shocked. I would not be shocked if they did that.
crazy
I disagree
there.
with much of what they have, and yet that being said, that still has nothing to do with what we're talking about. It's not even federal.
Well,
it's
I'm
like
just saying. Well, these are all the things I
right.
don't
I mean,
like
hold
about
on. To
the
be clear,
Democrats.
did you see like in California? To be clear, like what is the one I was talking to? I hold folks accountable where I hold folks accountable. I'm going to be honest about it. In California, where is it? Oh, it's about 6:00. Did you need to go?
Yeah, I'm meeting somebody. I'm pulling on my space right now. That's okay. I'll talk for a few seconds more until I see that she's here.
Nah, you're good. You're good. You have a good one, okay?
Yep, you too. Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Shalom. Shalom. Pray for the Jewish people. That's what I tell you. It's scary. It's scary.
I
You can't wear
appreciate you
Jewish
coming up.
stars anymore. You can't wear your highs. You can't wear anything.
I
People are
appreciate you
taking
coming up.
mezuzahs off doors. It's not good.
I
Okay.
appreciate you coming up. Folks, again, if you are voting for Donald Trump, join the guest request. Let's have a conversation. If you are not voting, sorry guys, I'm going to be saying that for a while. It's just like with this campaign, everybody, y'all get it on both sides of the aisle. This has been the longest fucking campaign, I think, of our lives. So I'm going to continue saying voting because it's so weird that it's over. Like, you know what I mean? If you voted for Donald Trump, join the guest request. If you voted for Kamala Harris, please hit that like button, hit the share button. Please do help us get to 200,000 likes. Let's get up our next guest. It's like muscle memory. You know what I'm saying? Like I've said voting, or like I'm voting, or I'm getting ready to vote. It's like voted is so weird. It's because it was like 4 years. You know what I'm saying? It's weird. Long campaign. Pardon the cough. Hi, how you doing?
Hi. Hello. My name's Michelle, and well, I've not voted for Trump or Kamala really, to be fair, because I'm not American. But
Hello.
I'm about to go live.
Hi, how you doing? Shannon? Okay. I tried. I really did. Hello. All right. Okay, again, folks, if you did vote for Donald Trump, join the guest request. Let's have a conversation. Come on up. And don't be shy. Thank you, Mikey, for the $5 on Venmo. Folks, if you want to support me, my Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, those are in my bio. I greatly appreciate it. Trying to get up our next guest here. The cup, cup. Yeah, we got the Pikachu cup. You know, got a lot of love for Pikachu. He's electric. Okay, trying to get up our next guest here. Venom, I just invited you up, but it wouldn't let you. Let me try it again. Hello, how you doing?
Can you hear me, or is my mic off?
Oh, you're good. I hear you.
Okay. First of all, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good.
So, did you vote for Donald Trump?
Yes, I voted for Donald Trump this year and back in 2020 as well.
Okay, and why so? Well, why so this year at least? I don't really care about 2020.
Yeah, so this year I voted for Trump mainly, I know some people will disagree, which is fine. But as a woman, I feel way more safe under Trump's administration. Seeing what he did in the past and his plans for the future, it makes me feel a lot better about like my future and my safety. Just because, or you can ask questions, it's fine.
I have so many questions. First off, how, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay, so you're young. We got to understand that Kamala's administration would have economically benefited you. Donald Trump's administration's one, not going to economically benefit you, and two, it's also going to hurt your social rights. I mean, Kamala Harris would have given you a first-time down payment for purchasing a home of $25,000, $50,000 if you want to pursue a small business, $6,000 permanent child tax credit if you choose to someday, have a family of your own. Donald Trump, on the other hand, right, he doesn't have those policies. He doesn't even have an economic policy to benefit a mother after she gives birth. And MAGA Republicans just 2 months ago in Congress blocked a bill that would have expanded the child tax credit. So they're not looking to expand economic aid for first-time parents. And then additionally, not only is he saying he's not going to support you if you choose to give birth, he's not going to support you if you choose not to give birth, right? He's saying that you won't have that right to choose as part of his administration. He had already overturned Roe v. Wade, and he's proud of having done that. This has led to women like Kate Cox in Texas being unable to seek an abortion for a non-viable pregnancy. Only in Democratic states where they have Democratic governors are women still protected to pursue an abortion should they need one, in a medical emergency, for example. In a Republican state, look no further than Georgia, Amber Thurman is no longer with us due to what that abortion ban was, and it took her life. Like factually and categorically, you are less safe in Donald Trump's America than you would have been in Kamala Harris's America, both economically and also when it comes to your rights and freedoms. So how do you feel safer knowing that Donald Trump is president rather than Kamala Harris? Not even to mention, right, that he was also found liable of sexual abuse, but we'll just talk on policy here.
So I guess policy-wise, You know, I maybe it just is because where I live, especially like I live in a very deep blue state. And we're having a ton of issues where police can't really help women anymore because there's so many illegal immigrant crimes going around. And unfortunately, they're a protected class now, and so are we. So there's kind of essentially like nothing that can be done.
What state are you referring to?
I'm in New Jersey.
Ma'am, you're referring to border policy affecting you in New Jersey now?
There's millions of illegal migrants ransacking New Jersey and New York City right now. If
Ma'am,
you don't
I'm sorry
think
to
that's
break it to
true-
you, but that's just New Jersey. We've all been to Jersey. I'm from Pennsylvania. Please, if you want to talk about crime in Jersey, I ain't going to disagree with you, but just know it's not coming from immigrants. That's just how Jersey is.
I guess my whole
Like, I'm
point-
sorry. hold on.
No, I know what you're saying, but okay, I mean, this is exactly why Trump won, because first of all, with the tax credits you were talking about, that tax credit
I'm
is
so
coming
sorry.
out of
I'm so sorry.
American
Hold on.
people's paychecks.
You're talking
That is
about,
coming out of
you said that
American-
there's millions of illegal migrants ransacking New Jersey. Girl, that's just people in New Jersey.
I mean, if you would like me to show you footage of multiple women I know that have been sexually assaulted and harassed by the
I'm so
immigrants,
sorry.
I'd love to show you, because there's it.
Give me
are
a
not from
second.
here,
Give me
and
a second.
You
Give me a
Democrats
second.
wanna
I'm
talk
sorry.
about
I need a
being
second. I really need you to
empathetic.
stop. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Ma'am, I'm sorry to break it to you. There are not even like millions of people in New Jersey. You think there's millions of migrants? Oh, she ran. What? Okay. Oh. No, we got a runner. We got a runner. Yeah. Okay, I was crying because she was like, there's millions of people. There's millions of people ransacking New Jersey, and they're all immigrants. Man, first off, there's not even like millions of people in New Jersey, right? It's a small population. And two, man, that's just people who live in New Jersey. Like, I don't disagree. There's crime in New Jersey. It's not coming from the migrants, though. Man, we've all been in New Jersey. I know New Jersey. You can trust me on this right now. I'm a Pennsylvanian. I'm telling you, though. Again, I get it. Like, there's a few million people that live there. I'm telling you, though, that's just New Jersey. That's just how it is. That's just them. That's like, it's not all coming from. I can't. That's too funny. Hi, how you doing?
Dumbass nigger report this, you stupid gay nigger. Die. Stupid nigger die.
Reparations, Venmo, PayPal, Cash App. I ain't even playing. I will end this live. I don't even care. What is going on? Hey, to any Black American in the channel who voted for Trump, any LGBTQ plus American who voted for Trump, know that that is what you voted for. That is what you voted for. That's what you voted for. That's your party, right? That's what you wanted. That's your new America. That's the next 4 years, and you get to look forward to that. That's your next 4 years. Just wait until Hispanic Americans who voted for Donald Trump find out who the wall and the camps he's building are for. Sherry, thank you so much for the $5 on Venmo. I appreciate the love. Thank you so much. Let's get up our next guest. Ugh, people who voted for Trump, y'all really... That right there, what that guy just did, that's your new America. It's your new America. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm okay.
So you voted for Trump?
I did.
All right, tell me more.
I just feel like he was the more relatable one. Like, I don't think she marketed herself to match like the average American.
I don't disagree. I think that it comes down to messaging, right? Again, you know, what we saw here. Now, Donald Trump is not relatable, right, to an everyday American. I mean, he probably thinks the middle class is a recipe for cookies, but we know that the messaging was an issue, right? When somebody goes to the grocery store, we know that they're not dealing with inflation. They're dealing with price gouging when there's higher costs. but they just want to know how they're going to put food on the table. And Kamala Harris spoke on price gouging quite a bit when she should have just simply said, I'm going to lower your costs. Here's the date I'm going to do it. Donald Trump has no plan to lower costs at the grocery store whatsoever, but yet people thought he could do so because he simply said, I'm going to lower costs. Here's how I'm going to, like, I'm just going to lower costs on my first day in office. Like he doesn't have a plan. It doesn't make him relatable. It just meant that people weren't doing enough research and the messaging wasn't providing them with the information they needed. I don't disagree with that, but anyhow, so tell me again, you know that Donald Trump's not relatable, right? So in what sense would he be relatable to you? Like, are you a felon?
No, but he gives the feeling that a lot of people had after 9/11 first initially happened. You probably were not alive for that one. He gives that feeling in that, like, America first.
No,
feeling.
because,
Yes.
I mean, for example, you saw record high approval ratings for George W. Bush. George W. Bush dealt with America in a unifying sense after 9/11, which is why he had like a 90% approval rating. Donald Trump doesn't even have a 50% approval rating, and half of the country hates him because he's trying to strip away their rights and freedoms. Okay. We got to recognize, right, that Donald Trump isn't doing what George Bush did. George Bush, for example, overwhelmingly won his reelection. Donald Trump, like, won, right, by, what is it now, like 72 million votes, and yet he also lost 67 million votes and rising. That's 67 million people in America that do not feel as though he was unifying us. So we gotta, recognize that. You can't compare Donald Trump to George W. Bush's response to 9/11. George W. Bush dealt with that response in a unifying manner. Donald Trump doesn't unify. Donald Trump divides.
I'm not comparing him to George Bush. I'm saying he gives off that feeling to a lot of people that are just average, hardworking Americans that just go to work every day, support their families, and come home, and have tried to say the things that were hurting them the last 4 years. And then all we were told is basically sit down and shut up.
Okay, but people, to be clear, there is a reason why folks voted for Donald Trump, and we got to recognize that there are different equations as to who voted for Donald Trump. And I didn't catch the last of what you just said because actually my dad was just calling me. I know he's watching this right now, Dad. I know you want to talk about something. You just don't do it. Don't say what you're thinking. He's Italian, so you gotta trust he'll say the first thing that comes into his mind. Listen, man, the fact of the matter is when you look at Donald Trump's stance, it is divisive for women. It is divisive for LGBTQ plus Americans. It is divisive for young Americans, right? He didn't win.
How is it divisive for those people?
Sure. Well, look no further than the vote, right? Young women went to Kamala. Young men went to Trump. And then take a look at no further than Twitter, where there are a bunch of young college white men running around telling women to make them a sandwich, or that one idiot streamer on Twitter who just told women that it's their body, his choice. Okay. Those are not hardworking middle-class Americans. Those are ignorant, young Fuentes. It was Fuentes, Nick Fuentes, who's saying that it's your body, my choice. He said about you and me now that it's your body, my choice as a young man, that your body is my choice. That is what he said.
But
is that not disgusting? But that's who voted for Donald Trump. So when you're talking about him unifying people, but that's a shit ton of people, and that's what gave him the election, right? People like that. To be clear, it's people like that who gave him the election, okay? In part, there was, you're not understanding, and that's on you. But like, for example, in Wisconsin, where he won by like 30,000 votes, that's a very small margin. And when you know that many of that was young men, or for example, were those without more considerable information, folks who were misinformed as to where costs take place, that ignorance, that lack of communication, that's what led to Donald Trump carrying it across the finish line. Let's be very honest about this. We already know this from 1, exit polls. We know this from 2, the voters. Okay. Again, for example, Kamala Harris lost out on a vote of parents who were concerned about costs at the grocery store. Kamala has a plan. that would have lowered costs at the grocery store. She would have banned price gouging. And we recognize that the inflation rate is lower today than that of what it was under Donald Trump. Donald Trump has no plan to combat price gouging. And in fact, his plan would increase costs at the grocery store through tariffs. So you go to the grocery store, you see that there's higher costs. You don't recognize that if you're shopping at Kroger, their CEO just admitted to price gouging, and it's actually Kroger's fault, not Biden's fault. But you know Biden's the president, and because you don't know how price gouging works, you're going to say, I'm going to vote for Trump because I want lower costs and I need to feed my family.
But it's not just price gouging. It's not just price gouging.
But it is. So like,
No,
again,
it's not.
you're not understanding. You're not
also
understanding. So first and foremost, let's recognize once more, you have Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Donald Trump, during this next term, he wants to put a 60% tariff on China, 20% across the board. That is going to lead to $2,500 to $4,000 coming out of the pocket of middle class Americans every single year. And it's going to lead to an additional $3 trillion debt. That right there is going to be paid off by us, but he has no plan to combat price gouging. So costs are only going to go up on us under his plan. But people don't know that because they just didn't know that. They're not researching the plan. That's how most Americans are. We're not looking up the plan. We're going based off of life experience. So they go to the grocery store. They see that there's higher costs on groceries, and they say Biden's president. That's his fault. What they don't know is that inflation today, the rate is 2.1%, and under Trump it was 2.4. So that means the inflation rate is lower, so costs should be lower, but it's not because companies like Kroger just 6 weeks ago admitted to price gouging, and now they're being held legally responsible for it, but they don't know all this. That's the issue. But again, the issue is people don't know all this because we don't read into all this. That's not like, it's just not a normal thing. Like we're not, you know what I'm saying? Like, why would somebody look up all this policy? They're not going to do that. So then you vote for Trump. But instead, your costs are going to go up now because you didn't realize you were voting against your own interests. Your costs would have gone down under Kamala Harris. And the overall solution here was you should be electing more Democrats in the Congress so that you have a majority in the Senate and House, and that we could pass a solution that would decrease costs. But instead, misinformed people said, the president's a Democrat. I'm going to blame him for it. I'm going to vote for Trump. And that's not how this operates. Trump has no plan to lower costs. Like, if he does, you tell me it right now. Please.
Those tariffs, though.
That's not going to lower costs, though. It's going to increase costs.
No, because it's going to have things come back. I think he's planning to put on things that are not made in America.
It didn't do it the first time. He already played with the tariffs. It led to a $230 billion tax hike on us. And we're paying that off, right? This is why Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis ran against him in the primary. So we know from his first term, it didn't decrease costs. Tariffs this time aren't going to decrease costs. So what's his plan to decrease costs? Because that's why many people voted for him. They thought he was going to decrease costs. He has no plan. It's not the tariffs. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you, it's not the tariffs.
I don't think she did either.
She did. I just told you it. Alicia, thank you so much for the $10. I appreciate the love. And Harley as well. Thank you for the $10. Andrew, thank you for the $5. And Heather, thank you for the $10 on Venmo. I appreciate it. Heather says Ted Cruz is a D nozzle. Yeah, I mean, you're right.
All he was going to do is combat price gouging. There's more to why things are more expensive.
There's really not. I'm trying to explain it. Let me explain it again. And at any point as I explain it, but it is. Let me explain again. It is. Let me explain again. So again, you have Kamala Harris, right, who is saying she's going to ban price gouging. The inflation rate today is 2.1%. Under Trump, the inflation rate is 2.4%. In both instances, that is a low inflation rate. It's almost identical, but technically by 0.3%, it's not a lot, but by 0.3%, it is lower today than what it was under Trump. Again, both were low inflation rates, but the difference is companies were not price gouging under Trump's administration. They began this practice during the pandemic when the economy was closed. Trump closed the economy. Companies said, you know what, now's the time to change our profit margins. For example, PepsiCo increased the cost of Gatorade. They shrunk down the size 2 to 4 ounces. Production was slow, manufacturing was slow. This was the time for them to make those changes economically, so they did. This has led to higher costs at the grocery store because all of these companies did it. Now, again, inflation is lower than what it was, but people don't recognize it's because of price gouging. They think it's because of the president. Joe Biden didn't introduce a single policy that would have drove up costs on inflation. He has decreased inflation. Kroger literally admitted to price gouging. Their CEO admitted to it. He's getting held legally responsible for it. Donald Trump, they think, well, Donald Trump's not the president. He'll probably lower my costs. I need to feed my family. Let me vote for him. They're voting against their own interests, though. They voted against their own interests because he doesn't have a policy to slash those costs. He's not going to combat price gouging, which is the reason for higher costs at the grocery store. Kamala said she was going to ban the practice outright. The solution here was to elect Kamala and more Democrats in Congress. Instead, because Joe Biden was president, they said, well, Donald Trump will probably do it. And they gave Donald Trump the presidency. And that is just against their own interests. Again, I could tell you right now, and trust me, you better bet I will. I am keeping a count of every single cost at the grocery store. If 1 year into Donald Trump's presidency, those costs aren't cut, and I know they won't be, I'm going to make a deep comparison, as will millions of Americans across the board. You ought to bet that this is going to be a massive talking point 1 year from now. Okay? Because Donald Trump isn't going to pass a policy to cut costs. Costs are going to go up over this next year with his policies. And there's going to be a scoreboard on this, and y'all are going to get held accountable for it, and you're going to get called out for it. He knows it too. He's like,
but you keep mentioning just one grocery store. Like, that cannot be the only
I'm
thing.
mentioning an example. I spoke about PepsiCo, right? You could talk about Kellogg's. You could talk about whatever that company, Lay's. Is it Lay's? The potato chip company. You can talk about it's all companies. Like, everybody's doing it, or everybody did it. Target, Tyson is another one. Yeah, y'all got it.
Government spending doesn't play a part in that at all, because
government spending. Where's the government spending coming from that has led to higher inflation?
How much money have we sent to Ukraine, regardless of if we have to or not? How much money have we
Ukraine
sent?
has nothing to do with higher costs on groceries. How do you even make that correlation?
Government spending.
Government spending on Ukraine. Wait, government spending on Ukraine has nothing to do with higher costs at the grocery store. Who in their right mind said, hey, Tyson's going to increase the cost on their chicken nuggets because Ukraine received funding? Right. You're talking about higher costs at the grocery store, though. How did government spending lead to higher costs at the grocery store exactly? See, this is the ignorance. Respectfully, though.
That's what raises prices for everything.
Respectfully, ma'am. Respectfully, ma'am, again, I don't expect you to know this, right? I'm just a crazy dude who does a lot of research, and I retain the information very easily. I like it. I like the numbers. My point is, this is what I mean, though. You're saying that, like, hey, government spending on Ukraine might lead to higher costs at the grocery store. That's the kind of, like, that's wrong, but you're not going to be the only one who thinks that. And that's what leads to people voting for Donald Trump. We know for a fact that, one, government spending on Ukraine is through weaponry, and two, it was passed by Mike Johnson, a Republican. That wasn't the Democrats who passed it, it was Mike Johnson. But you're not blaming him for it. And then two, they have nothing to do with costs on groceries, because there's a fund allocated specifically through the Department of Defense for foreign aid. Like, your taxes aren't going up for it. Costs aren't going up for that. Nothing is getting touched for that.
And how much have we given to those people crossing the border, the illegal immigrants? Like, how much money have we given to them?
Undocumented immigrants, like illegal immigrants, undocumented immigrants, they don't qualify. Pardon me. They don't qualify. No, they don't qualify for any Medicaid, Social Security. They don't qualify for WIC, SNAP, or any program that would economically benefit them. But instead, they do add $3 billion to our economy every single year. So they're contributing to your economy, and they're not getting anything back. But then you're advocating for, like, what exactly? Do you want them to go through legally? Okay, now not only are they going to contribute the $300 billion to your economy, but they're also going to take out from your economy from Social Security, SNAP, WIC. That literally is taking away from you, isn't it? This is the logic that never made sense to me, right? You're saying that you want them to come in legally. They're still going to add to your economy, but now they're also going to take from your economy. At least if they're illegal, they're not taking from your economy. They're only adding to it. That's the logic that never got to me. Like, why are you advocating, but why are you advocating for them to take from your SNAP benefits or your WIC benefits? Like, why do you want them to take from your state and federal benefits?
If they're coming here legally, then I have no problem with it. Like, if they are coming here illegally and they are citizens,
but that's my point. But that's my point. So, for example, right, undocumented immigrants come here, and let's say that they go to Florida. We know that in Florida, about 40% of the agriculture workforce are undocumented immigrants, and that helps their farmers make money. It's cheaper labor. It's also folks who will do the job, as we know Americans don't want to do that labor-intensive work, right? Because that's like some really hard work. And if you're not a farmer, like if we have any farmers here, shout out to y'all. That is probably the most labor-intensive work in the country. Americans don't want to do it. That is why they rely on undocumented immigrants to do it. If you take them out of the equation and put them in legally, one, that's going to cut away from those farmers. Two, that's going to take away the $300 billion from our economy every single year. And three, you're going to now have these legal immigrants with now American citizenship taking away from your SNAP benefits and WIC benefits because now they qualify. So they would qualify for more jobs than just that in the agriculture industry, right? Because again, it's cheap labor for them. And two, they would also take away from your economic benefits. Like you're advocating for them to take from your economy instead of give to your economy. That's the logic I never understood here.
I mean, I get it. And I understand it. I'm fine with it as long as they come over legally. If they're coming here illegally.
But wouldn't you want them to, again, like, wouldn't you want them to, like, I'm not advocating for illegal immigrants, but my point is my issue is that illegal immigrants help, or undocumented immigrants help Republican states. So wouldn't you guys be advocating for undocumented immigrants? Instead, you're advocating for them to become legal immigrants, which is not going to help you. That would take from your economy. Do you see again where I'm not understanding because I know that you're not doing it like this is, let's be so clear. Republicans do not disagree with illegal immigration or undocumented immigration because it's in their heart and they want these undocumented immigrants to get citizenship. It's what they want. No, because they're advocating against birthright citizenship, right? So it's obviously not you guys and you're not like going by your heart and saying, oh gosh, I hope these undocumented immigrants get citizenship. No, that's the Democrats who do that, not Republicans. But you guys don't understand that the undocumented immigrants are helping your economy. Like again, look no further than Governor Ron DeSantis, right? Farmers hate him, and here's why. Let me pull this up. So again, 40% of farm workers are undocumented. Farmers in Florida are struggling to find labor right now because United States citizens, we don't want their jobs. And Governor Ron DeSantis passed one of the toughest crackdowns in the country on undocumented immigrants, SB 1718, which punishes employers who use undocumented labor. This has cost Florida's economy $12.6 billion in 1 year alone, according to the Florida Policy Institute. So like, wouldn't you guys be advocating for undocumented immigration? You're not, but you should be, because they help your economy. They're not eligible to take any benefit from your economy, and they do the work that you guys don't want to do. But like, what is that? Why are you guys advocating against that?
When they're here,
like, to be clear, I get why I would advocate against that because I'm a Pennsylvanian and this isn't going to benefit me, but I'm advocating for it because I know it helps farmers. You're advocating against it, even though this would help your Republican states. Do you see can you respond to that?
Yes, but can you not see the point where, okay, they're coming in and we have no idea who these people are. We have no idea their background. We have
the farmers do, right? The farmers do.
They don't necessarily know all of it. Some of them were coming over.
So let me get this right.
They had COVID at the time.
Let's say, so you're saying that somebody who comes here who can't take any benefit from your economy, right? They're willingly coming into your country. They can't take any benefit from your economy. They don't get WIC. They don't get SNAP. They don't get Social Security. Who contributes $300 billion to your economy without taking anything from it. Who does the work that you don't want to do. And it's not like I would do it if I could. Guys, none of y'all, if y'all want to go down to fucking Florida and do their agricultural work for them, do it. But you're not, which is why they're relying on undocumented immigrants, okay? They're doing the jobs you don't want to do. They're giving you $300 billion a year. And they can't take any benefit from your economy in relation to Social Security. They're not going to take from your Medicaid. They're not going to take from WIC or SNAP or any other program. You're saying you don't want them here, but instead you want them to come in legally, which, let's be honest, again, you don't want them to become legal immigrants because it's in your best interest and your heart feels for them and not having American citizenship. Like, no, you just want to make it harder for them, right? So now they're going to come in. They are going to take from your WIC, SNAP programs because now they will benefit for it. They will not longer want to do the jobs, right? Because like, again, they're coming here to do the agricultural jobs because they can't get a different job, right? They would have to go through different documents and whatnot, and they don't have them. That's why they're doing the jobs that you don't want. Now they can go get the job that you have. They could come for your job now, right? Because they would be documented and they would have the paperwork to come for your job now, and they would take benefits from your economy. This is, again, the logic I'm not understanding with you. Like, wouldn't you be advocating for illegal immigration, but you're advocating against it because what? Like, why?
Yes, I just need a yes or no answer. Could
But
they?
can you tell me why you would be advocating
I'm asking-
against illegal immigration?
I'm asking you a question. Could they, yes or no, could they be criminals and we not know it? Yes or no?
Sure, but you're statistically more
Okay.
likely to commit a crime than them.
It does, but they could be criminals.
You are sure, and so could you. So is
But why would
your
we
next
allow
president is
more-
a criminal, right? You are statistically more likely to commit a crime than that of an illegal immigrant, and that's factual.
But
So
I don't.
your point's redundant, right?
They could be. Why would we let these people in that we don't? More people in that we don't know.
For example, you're saying that the undocumented immigrant that the farmer hires might have committed a crime. Okay, fun fact, that farmer is statistically more likely to have committed the crime, not the documented or undocumented immigrant. See
Okay, just because it's statistically on paper doesn't mean that they're
Nope.
not capable of doing something.
You're also capable of doing something, right?
Exactly.
Man,
So
you
let's let more
elected a convicted felon, right? You're not concerned about crime. Let's not pretend you are. You're not concerned about crime, right?
Now I am because I have children, so I am very
Ma'am.
concerned about the trafficking.
Girl, please. Please, don't even. Like, what, huh? What are we doing here?
I'm
So
very
again,
concerned
help me
about it.
understand this, right? You know that, for example, again, Florida's a prime example. Republican governor had the largest crackdown on illegal immigration. SB 1718 punished anybody, farmers who employed undocumented immigrants, right? This led to farmers struggling to find labor, even though 40% of their labor workforce was primarily undocumented immigrants, almost 50% to be precise. Governor Ron DeSantis lost out on almost $13 billion economically because of this bill, taking undocumented immigrants out of the workforce. Your Republican states benefit from undocumented immigrants in produce, agriculture, manufacturing, because they're the jobs that you guys don't want to do, right? Like, you don't want to, like, ma'am, what do you do for work?
I'd rather not say. Just
I'm sorry, is it like OnlyFans or something? Like, what do you mean?
no. Oh God, no. No, I just would rather not say because your chat is not very nice. It's nothing illegal.
I mean, it's not sounding very
it's
legal.
it's
Ma'am,
not-
are you the
it's
criminal
not-
you're talking about here?
It's not an
What do you-
OnlyFans, and it's none of that nonsense.
Okay,
Like, it's not
but okay. Anyway, fine. I don't even.
I work in education.
Okay, so education, that's a very noble profession. So let's say you're in education. You're not going to be working in agriculture, right? People go into education. They don't want to do the labor intensive agricultural work. So farmers rely on undocumented immigrants to do so, which is why 40% of the workforce are undocumented immigrants when it comes to agriculture. That is not the case for educators, right? But that being said, again, SB 1718 in Florida led to Ron DeSantis losing $12 billion, almost $13 billion in his, pardon me, in his economy. And farmers now have a shortage on employers. So Democrats are advocating for a pathway to citizenship, right? Because they genuinely believe that everybody should have a pathway to citizenship. Come into our country, we welcome you, you uplift us. That's in the goodness of their heart. Like, that's just what it is. Realistically, though, they should be advocating against that. You, a Republican, should be advocating for illegal immigrants, right? Because your states benefit, your Republican states benefit from undocumented immigrants, both economically and your manufacturing and your agriculture. It makes up your workforce. They do the jobs you don't want to do, but instead you're advocating that they become legal immigrants, so they
because
take more from your economy.
You're
That
kind
logic is weird.
But you're kind of, in a way, advocating for basically enslavement to illegal immigrants because they're here doing cheap labor but getting no benefits, getting nothing that they could be getting. If
Right. But that's why I'm saying you would
that's a little-
advocate for that. So again, you're not understanding. That's not what I'm advocating for.
that's what you're
I'm
saying.
telling you that that's what you would advocate for. You're not understanding the point here. You just it went right over your head again somehow. So I'll say it one more time. You have in your Republican states immigrants who are coming into your state, economically benefiting you without taking anything from your economy, right? Because they're not eligible for WIC and SNAP. That goes to American-born citizens first and foremost, right? You are advocating against them uplifting your workforce, even though they make up 40% of the agricultural workforce. And you in your Republican state of Florida is struggling to find those who will accomplish that labor-intensive work in agriculture. You're advocating against them hiring undocumented immigrants. Rather, you would have them come in legally.
Yes.
But then what? My point is that you are now telling them, okay, they can go for that job that
Yes.
is not in agriculture, but rather taking your job in education. And two, you're telling them that they can also take from your economic benefits, and they'll no longer add the $3 billion annually to our economy as undocumented immigrants. So you're losing out entirely. But I'm saying that you should be advocating for it. And let's not pretend that you're advocating because you believe they should, in the goodness of your heart, become American citizens. That's not why you Republicans advocate against immigration. You advocate against immigration even when it hurts. Like, even if immigration helps you, and it does, for example, in Florida, you're advocating against it because, for example, Ron DeSantis is just racist, right? Because again, the agriculture industry depends on undocumented immigrants. It makes up 40% of their workforce in Florida. He lost out on $13 billion for stripping away an undocumented workforce. He didn't care. He wasn't doing it out of the goodness of his heart. He just didn't want people coming in from the other country because he's a racist. Like, nobody in the right
Why
mind.
are you name
To be clear, I can name call Ron DeSantis. Let's stop playing. Because again, the facts are the facts, right? Think about it this way. So who in their right mind, when undocumented immigrants make up 40% of your agricultural workforce, when you're making $13 billion off of their back and upwards of $300 billion annually from undocumented immigrants, and knowing that they can't take a single thing from your economic benefits, whether it comes from Social Security, WIC, or whatever, who in their right mind would prevent them from coming over the border if not for just straight up racism? Because again, these folks weren't causing crime. They were just doing the agricultural work, and Ron DeSantis shut them out. Even though it hurt him economically, it hurt his own farmers back home. That wasn't out of the goodness of his heart. He wasn't looking for them to come back legally. He just fucking hates Mexico and he's racist, right? Like, that's just the fact.
No, like, people care about who's coming into this country.
But ma'am, your farmers are struggling. Your farmers don't have employees in Florida, right? They don't have employees. You're losing billions of dollars every single year. So now what do? What's the solution now?
So they come over the correct way.
And do what?
Whatever work they want to. The whole point.
Right, now they're not going to go. Hold on, my point is now they're not going to go. You're not taking advantage of them.
Yes,
you should be happy that they're helping you. Because again, you're giving them, ma'am, no, you should be happy that they're helping you. But instead, y'all are racist and you're turning around and saying, don't come over here. Ma'am,
if that was me, if we were,
ma'am, you're telling them.
No, because if we were,
for example,
if it was a
Donald
truly
Trump
racist thing, then we would say,
is
okay,
just looking to block them out. He's not looking for them to come back legally or illegally, right? Period. But let's also recognize that you're saying yourself, oh, well, I want them to come back legally. But now what do you do with your farmers, right? Now you have the farming shortage, which they have now in Florida. They're struggling. They have no employees. So what's your solution for those farmers who are absolutely fucked in Florida? They have no employees. 40% of their workforce was made up by undocumented immigrants. They're losing billions of dollars every year. Okay, great. You got rid of the undocumented immigrants. What do you do for your farmers now?
Well, then that would be a problem the farmers need to figure out.
That's not the fucking answer! What do you mean it's a problem for the farmers to figure out? What are they supposed to do? You tell me what they're supposed to do. Brenda, thank you so much for the $2. And Jennifer, thank you for the $10 and the love. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. As well as Bailey for the $20, Bailey. That is so kind. Thank you so much, Bailey. That is so nice. So you tell me, what are the farmers supposed to do? Because you can't just create a problem for them and then pretend as though they need to find the solution on their own, right? So I gave you the problem. It's not even a hypothetical. This is what they're dealing with now. So what's your solution? To tell farmers to go fuck themselves? Like,
hire Americans? I mean,
you won't do the work though. I'm not doing the work. You're not doing the work. So who are they hiring? That's the issue.
Some people want to.
No, they don't. That's the issue. We don't want to do the work. It's just the fact. No, first off, farmers are typically generational. They've been doing it for decades. They're not finding employees though, right? The family's not cutting it. You can't just have a family run the farm. They need employees. That's where the undocumented immigrants have been coming in and helping them in states like Florida, where again 40% of their framework for the farmers, the farm workforce in Florida, 40% of it is undocumented immigrants. You got rid of that 40%. They already have a labor shortage as is. Now you took away 40% of their workforce. What you going to do now? Like, what is their solution? You haven't given a solution.
Well, I don't know what the solution would be because I'm not a farmer, so I don't know.
Right. So instead of telling farmers that you're going to fuck them over and take from their workforce, how about you game plan what the solution is first before you screw them over like this?
And that's why I'm not in charge of that. Like,
but the guy who's in charge of it, right? Donald Trump, who will be in charge of it, or Ron DeSantis, who is currently in charge of it, did exactly what you just said and said, fuck the farmers, right? Ron DeSantis put SB 1718 into effect, which took out any undocumented immigrants from serving those, for working for those, for being employed by those who are farmers, right? So again, Ron DeSantis said, fuck the farmers, and now the farmers are going broke. So what's he going to do to help the farmers?
I don't know. I would have to go research what his plan is. I don't know.
There is no plan. This is exactly it. It's the same way with Donald Trump, right? You elected Donald Trump. You made him your presidential elect. You gotta own up to what you're doing to farmers. And again, look no further than Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump put a tariff on agriculture, on soybeans, on pork. That's in North Carolina. You see this in Iowa, Pennsylvania, and farmers went out of business, right? And then you all hiked up costs on produce for a trade war. Now, again, you have Ron DeSantis in Florida, whose 40% of his workforce are farmers, undocumented immigrants, making up 40% of the agricultural workforce. You want to get rid of them. What are they supposed to do now? You say you don't know. You can't just keep causing problems and not giving farmers a solution. Like, how is that fair? How is that fair to farmers?
I mean, how is it fair to those people to keep them here working illegally?
But you want them to come back legally. And again, here's the thing.
Where we know they're better.
You're not understanding the logic. Hold on. Why do you want to stop undocumented immigrants from coming into the country? Do you want to stop them from coming into the country?
Illegally and not
So you
vetted?
want them to come in legally. Great. Now,
legally.
two issues here. One, Republicans have blocked numerous efforts to provide a pathway to citizenship. And I'll name one. Okay? And then I need you to justify this because this debunks exactly what you just said. Okay, so farmers are advocating for an easier pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants so that they can be hired in the agriculture sector. Again, in Florida, Ron DeSantis passed a bill that took away any undocumented immigrant from the agricultural industry. This made up 40% of his workforce in agriculture in Florida, right? It took $13 billion out of his own economy solely because he was a fucking racist, period. Like, had nothing else to do with it because he didn't expand the pathway to citizenship to have them come back legally. He blocked out them entirely, even though that they were economically benefiting him. So that is racism, right? That is racism, okay? So farmers are advocating for that easier pathway to citizenship so that they can bring back those undocumented immigrants as legal immigrants. And the Farm Workforce Modernization Act was introduced by Democrats. It passed the U.S. House, but Republicans blocked the bill from passing in the U.S. Senate because they didn't want an easier pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants. So you're saying that you want them to come back legally, but Senate Republicans said they don't want them coming back at all. So you're going to fuck over farmers and not provide them with a legal pathway to citizenship, lose 40% of your agricultural workforce, and then like what, right? And then what? What about the billions of dollars you're using? What about the farmers going bankrupt and shutting their doors? What about the farmer shortage? Now what? What do you do now, right? Because you're not even expanding the pathway to citizenship.
Okay, so I mean,
this is what you voted for. You voted for this.
When was this?
Now. This is today. This is now. This is happening right now as we speak.
With the Republicans kind of I think the last time I checked, Republicans in control of the House and the Senate. Like, this is happening now.
Oh, I apologize. You're talking about when did the Farm Workforce Modernization Act take place? A few years ago. However, again, the issue you're dealing with, the farming shortage, that is happening right now. This would have solved it. Farmers advocated for it. Your party blocked it.
Okay, who blocked? Like, which members? I mean,
your Republican senators blocked it.
Okay.
So again, now my explanation for you here is you're saying, well, we just want the immigrants to come back not as undocumented, but as documented. That's debunked because your own party just blocked the Farm Workforce Modernization Act that would have offered that pathway to citizenship to have the undocumented immigrants working in the agriculture industry, making up 40% of the workforce, to come back as documented. So you just don't want them over whatsoever. And fine, if you don't want them over whatsoever, fine. Send them on their way, right? Send them packing home. Okay, fine. But now you have an issue, right? You have 40% of your farming workforce rid of. What do you do there? How do you fix the farming shortage, which is underway in Florida, right? This would be nationally, but in Florida, this is exactly what Ron DeSantis did. He took away the undocumented immigrants from his agriculture industry. It cost him $13 billion every single year. And then you also have farmers who are going without employees, so they can't produce. So my question here is, what is your solution to the farmers in Florida who are already experiencing the issue of not having an undocumented immigrant workforce to benefit us economically and them in their agriculture industry? And two, why are you making it harder to have a pathway to citizenship when they benefit you economically? I mean, undocumented immigrants add $300 billion to your economy every single year. Like, you know that?
Yeah, but that's, to me, that doesn't seem a little on the, the racism side too there, like
that undocumented immigrants are coming into our country and contributing $300 billion.
Yeah, doing all this work that
They're
other
choosing to do the work.
Yeah, because they can't do anything else.
Okay, but then you're making the case for an easier pathway to citizenship. Your party blocked it, and instead of electing Democrats who would have made an easier pathway to citizenship, you elected more Republicans in the Senate, right? You just elected more Republicans in the Senate. So the solution to what you're bringing up now is to have elected more Democrats. You didn't do that, though, right? So you have a Republican governor who passed a policy that has cut his workforce by 40% in the agriculture industry, and he has not expanded the pathway to citizenship to bring back undocumented immigrants. He has cut them out completely, and it's costing farmers $13 billion every single year, right? Then you have a Republican Senate that blocked the Farm Workforce Modernization Act that would have provided that easier pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants so that they could partake in an agriculture industry. These are Republicans blocking and causing issues for farmers. Like, what is
then I feel like that would be something that the farmers should bring up to.
They are. That's what the Farm Workforce Modernization Act was. Farmers wanted that. Trumpers in the Senate blocked it.
Okay, so maybe they need to try to bring that up again. I don't know. I'm not a farmer, so take it up. I mean, the farmers need to take that up. I'm not a farmer.
Right. So, they tried. Your party shut it down.
Okay, so maybe they need to advocate again. Maybe they need to advocate a little louder. I mean,
but again, you're advocating for them to lose 40% of their workforce, billions of dollars in revenue. And you're telling them that they need to just figure it out.
I just want them here legally.
You don't want them here legally. You voted for Donald Trump and a Republican Senate, and they are not advocating for an easier pathway to citizenship. They're advocating for undocumented immigrants being detained and removed. What do you? Huh?
I mean, the last time I checked, immigrating here is a privilege and not a right. Like,
what are you even talking about now? What does that even mean? Did I say it was a privilege or a right?
No, I'm saying
right? What are you
not
talking
a right
about?
to get to just come over to America. It's a privilege to get to come over and live in America. There's so many people that want to come over.
First off, people want to come over here, but the privilege should be on your part because, again, the undocumented immigrants are coming over here and doing the jobs that you don't want to do. You're not working in the labor-intensive agricultural industry, one of the hardest industries to work in. The amount of work that farmers do is beyond labor-intensive, and it causes physical issues for, literally, both mentally and physically. That drains people. That's why Americans don't want to do the work. That's their issue. That's the issue that farmers are experiencing. I mean, again, you're not doing that work. You wouldn't want to if you had the chance. I'm not doing that work, and I absolutely would not want to if I had the chance because it sucks, but it's critical. Undocumented immigrants are doing it, and so the privilege should be on your part to welcome them into the country. Like, you should be advocating for undocumented immigration, right? Because it benefits Republican states. I'm the Democrat. And yeah, I'm over here saying we should have an easier pathway to citizenship. Like, I should be the one saying, lock him out entirely, lock him out, don't let him back. You should be saying, let him in. But somehow we got to this point where I'm explaining to you exactly how you're voting against your own interests, and you seem to not be understanding. Like, huh?
I mean, I get it, but I mean, there's just, I think if things wouldn't have been so, or people wouldn't have felt that things were so a crap show for the last 4 years and people were not hurting for whatever reason, I think they
Whoa, Corey, thank you so much for the $25 on Venmo. That is beyond kind, Corey. Thank you so much for the love. Continue. As you were saying. It's that MAGA mobile. Can't hear a word you're saying. I'm getting every other word. Can you repeat that? What's with the breaking up?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello? Mm-hmm. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. So I feel like if Harris wasn't part of the crap show that's been the last 3.5 years, and that people were feeling that they were hurting and not being heard.
The inflation rate.
People were hurting and not being heard.
It's not a crap show. It's your party that was misleading Americans so that they voted against their own interests. Once again, Donald Trump misled Americans. Period. They just voted against their own interests. Everything I'm explaining to you now, you voted for Donald Trump, and I'm explaining how you voted against your own interests. Take it or not. You don't have to listen to the info, right? Trump is going to be our president, whether we like it or not, because you voted for him. You voted against your own fucking interests. Congratulations. Again, you look at the inflation rate. The inflation rate is 2.1%. Under Trump, it was 2.4%. So inflation is lower. You voted against your own interests. You're going to have a higher inflation rate under Trump. 2, you say that, oh, that's going to bring down costs, that Trump will bring down costs. He has no policy to bring down costs. If he does, you tell me what it is. Can you tell me what it is? You can't, because he doesn't have one. The issue is that it comes down to corporate greed, and Donald Trump doesn't care about corporate greed, because corporations and Donald Trump get along very well. They like making money off of the back of middle-class Americans.
All you could tell me is that Harris wanted to go after price gouging, and that was the only thing she planned to do.
That's the plan. No, that's not true. We've talked about the $25,000 down payment for first-time home buyers, $50,000 for small business entrepreneurs, $6,000 permanent child tax credit. Those will benefit the middle class. When you voted against that, we had a younger woman come up here before. She was uninformed about the economy, and she quite literally also voted against her own interests. She didn't know about those policies. Right? Now she does, and she feels fucking stupid, and she should, because Donald Trump doesn't have a single policy like that to economically benefit middle-class Americans. Like, if he does, you tell me. Go ahead.
I don't know about the housing.
Exactly. Not in housing, not the child tax credit.
No tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security for seniors, and I believe that they shouldn't have to pay it.
First off, he's not going to cut your tax on Social Security, period. He's going to cut your Social Security, period. Right? Republicans are already putting forth a plan to cut your Social Security. You understand that? Like, this isn't even a hypothetical. Take a look no further than the U.S. House as we speak. This isn't a hypothetical. They just put forth a plan to cut Social Security.
Okay. I mean, it still has to pass, but
right, and your party is introducing it. Your party introduced it, but you voted for Republicans in the Senate. If you take back the House, if Republicans keep the House, you just took back the Senate, and you have a Republican president now. They're going to cut Social Security if they retain the House. You voted for that. Again, you're voting against your own interests. They just introduced the bill to cut Social Security, which is already low as it is. That's you. You did that. You voted for that.
I mean, and then I thought he was eliminating taxes on overtime and taxes on tips.
But first off, no tax on tips is not going to be introduced. He took that policy from Bernie Sanders. He's not going to be introducing a Bernie Sanders policy. Let's stop playing. 2, Kamala Harris was also running on that policy. He's not going to be introducing that policy. It's never going to happen.
What about tax on overtime?
Pardon me. No tax on overtime, on the other hand. Let's say he does introduce it and that it does pass. That is nothing in comparison to the 60% tariff on China and 20% tariff across the board that will take $2,500 to $3,900 out of your pocket every single year, right? The $3 trillion additional debt it's going to add, you're going to lose more out of pocket than you're going to retain from no tax on overtime. And not everybody makes overtime. So if you don't make overtime, right, then you're really losing out here. I don't make overtime. Do you make overtime?
Do I make overtime?
Yeah,
No.
do you?
No, I don't make overtime.
Okay, so you and I don't make overtime, so we're not going to benefit from no tax on overtime. We're only going to lose out on the 60% tariff on China
No,
and 20% across the board. That's going to increase our costs $2,500 to $3,900. So you really voted against your own interest here because you're not even getting the no tax on overtime. You're getting nothing. Like, ma'am, what are you getting?
No, but my child can work overtime at her job,
What are you
so it would
getting?
benefit her.
What are you getting?
Oh, I get a salary.
Oh, and you know what?
I just get a
$7.25
salary.
an hour, the
So I
minimum
get
wage.
same.
No, that's not what I'm asking you. First off, $7.25 an hour, the minimum wage with overtime. Congrats. It's $10 now. That's still not a livable wage, right? But now again, let's take a look at the overtime
Well,
you're saying you don't receive. So
minimum
what are you
wage-
receiving from Donald Trump?
Minimum wage jobs were not meant to be something
Right,
that
and
you
this
live
is
off
why
of.
MAGA
Like, you can
Republicans
make
should have
it-
passed an extension onto the minimum wage, but they haven't expanded it. They refuse to increase the minimum wage. Again, you're voting against your own interests and the
Well,
interests of your
because
daughter.
every
Does
time
your
that
daughter
you-
work a minimum wage job?
Yes, she does.
Fucking look at that. So you're saying she's going to get an overtime tax cut. Okay. She's still, it would only be $10 an hour, right? Like you, right?
But for
the
her, that's
solution
good.
here, no, that's not good. Your daughter
She's
deserves better.
she's 17.
So let's look.
For her, that's-
let's
for
look
her,
at
she's
Kamala Harris's
17.
plan.
That's good for her.
That's not good for her. That's not good in 2024.
Every time you
That was
raise
good for a
minimum wage,
17-year-old in
then everything else goes up.
2008. No, that was good for a 17-year-old in 2008, the last time the minimum wage was increased. That's not good for a 17-year-old anymore. Minimum wage jobs were meant for teenagers. They were not meant
Yes.
for adults. The second issue is the last time the minimum wage was raised was when you were a teenager. Okay, so again, it's not good for your teenager anymore. The second issue
But
is
she's
you
not
are
gonna be working
advocating
that
for
forever. She's
her
going to college
receiving
and
that
working out
overtime
everything else.
tax cut, but that's still going to leave her with $10 an hour. That's not enough to buy a bag of Doritos in 2024 because of price gouging. So then you look no further than Kamala Harris's plan, which would have, one, cut her student debt if she has any, or when she gets it because she's 17. Two, it would have done no tax on tips. Let's say she would go become a server in college. Three, it would have done the $25,000 homeowners credit so that she could have bought a house early on, stepped her foot into the door economically with the $50,000 down payment on small business entrepreneurs, and the $6,000 permanent child tax credit. Like her so percent, ma'am, the inflation of 2.1% didn't lead to the 22% increase on costs at Kroger. 2.1%, 22%. 2.1%, 22%. The math ain't mathing on that one, right? So again, let's get better into this then. You're saying that by raising the minimum wage, you are going to see higher costs at the grocery store. Fun fact, you already have higher costs at the grocery store. Two, Instead of saying that you should
Because if
stop
these people,
price
these
gouging,
companies, they're going to
hold on.
have to pay
Instead
their,
of saying that you should stop price gouging, you're saying that you should prevent a minimum wage increase because you don't want to see higher costs. You already have higher costs. Fun fact. 2, again, you got to better understand here that when you cut taxes on corporations, costs didn't go down. So your logic isn't logicking. Like, you voted against your own interests here and the interests of your daughter. Congrats. And that's economically against your own daughter. I didn't even go into the fact she doesn't have a right to choose, right? She has less rights today than you did at her age.
I would hope, gosh forbid, my daughter doesn't have to choose that. I would rather her be able to afford to stay home with her children and not have to work 50 hours and 2 jobs.
Then you should have
to be
voted
able
for
to afford a
Kamala,
home.
right? Because Kamala had won the first time homeowners down payment. Donald Trump doesn't have anything for homeowners. Not a single policy. If he does, please tell me. Okay, great. Kamala Harris says first time down payment for your daughter's future children, $6,000 each. Donald Trump, not a single policy. In fact, he blocked a bill that would have expanded the child tax credit. If he has a policy to economically benefit first time parents, please tell me. Okay, exactly. Now the minimum wage as well. Democrats are saying raise it. Republicans, who you just nominated, put into the presidency, put them into the Senate majority, right? You may have just given them the House. They're not going to expand the minimum wage. Kamala would have. The Democratic Senate and House would have.
But minimum wage jobs are not meant to be like lived off of. And
But it's less than what it's supposed to be. You're saying it's supposed to be like money in the pocket of a teenager, and I agree. Minimum wage jobs are meant for teenagers, not adults. But we have to recognize here that the minimum wage hasn't been raised since like 2005 to 2008. And so what your daughter's making right now is what a teenager was making in 2005. You're giving your daughter money that should be going into a college fund, something to go buy a car with, at the same rate as somebody from 2005. And costs in 2005, like, it was like $1 for a bag of potato chips. It's like $6 now. That's an hour. That's basically an hour of what she just made at her job, a bag of potato chips. do you see the issue here? Like, 1 hour of her work equates to a coffee at Starbucks because of price gouging and because the inflation, because of price gouging and because of the minimum wage hasn't increased.
She makes
What state are you from? $12.50 still isn't enough. Period. 2, what state are you in?
Florida.
You're from
We're
Florida?
in Florida. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. And there you go. Pretty much what I thought. So Democrats passed that minimum wage increase to $13 in Florida. Ron DeSantis opposed it, but was pressured into allowing it to pass. So again, you're advocating for voting for Democrats then, not Republicans, but you voted against your own interests. So Democrats are raising the minimum wage for your daughter, had an economic policy that would have benefited your daughter. You're advocating for Republicans who not only don't have an economic policy to benefit you or your daughter, because you're not even making overtime. Make it make sense. I mean, they literally not only don't have an economic policy to help you or your daughter, they're stripping away the rights of you and your daughter. You understand that your daughter's right is now my right? Like, you're literally, like, there are young men running around Twitter saying it's your body, my choice now. You understand that that is what Donald Trump just did to you. Like, that's what Donald Trump just did to you and your daughter. Your right is now the right of young men. That's fucking insane.
You cannot group all those people with us, because there are people on the left side that say some pretty wild things too.
Ma'am, you voted against the right of your daughter. She has no right to choose, especially in Florida, which is looking for the 6-week abortion ban. You have no right to choose.
What rights do we have
Secondly, you voted against the economic rights of your daughter and the rights of yourself. If Donald Trump has an economic plan that is going to benefit, if Donald Trump has an economic plan that will benefit your daughter, please tell me now.
What? But we don't
What's
know
that
what rights
economic
we've lost.
plan that will benefit your daughter?
There's no rights that we've lost.
The right to choose. Your daughter no longer has that right in Florida. You understand? You understand? Which is why young men like Nick Fuentes are running around saying it's your body, my choice, right? Again, Nick Fuentes on video said that your daughter's body is his property and that it's her body, his choice. On video, he posted that just now.
I would
You voted
hope my
against your
daughter would
daughter's
choose
rights.
life. If that
You
was
can
the-
hope
I would
everything you
she
want
would
for your
choose life.
daughter. You voted against your daughter's right.
No.
Let's
he
say she has a
didn't,
medical
because
emergency. Now what? What do you do now?
Good thing if her right to life is threatened. That's
not
in there.
It's not right to life, right? Let's say that her life is at risk. Now what? Now what does she
Right, with
do?
her
She
right
doesn't
to
get to
life.
have an abortion in Florida. No.
Yes.
No.
It's in there. Yes,
The
it is.
6-week abortion ban does not permit that. So now what?
Donald Trump has the exceptions.
He can have the exceptions all he wants. Ron DeSantis doesn't. So now what?
It's in there. The exceptions are in there for if a mother's
There's no
life.
exception. There's no.
Yes, there is.
Ma'am, not
Yes,
in
there
Florida.
is.
Not in Florida.
Yes, there is.
We can keep going
Yes,
back and
there
forth.
is.
You don't have it. You don't
Yes,
have it.
there
Oh,
are.
you're going to find out the hard way if you think that you have that right. It's going to be a real shock to you when you're sitting in that doctor's office and they say they can't do shit for you. That's going to suck real bad. But again, this is why you got to
There are
research and not vote against your own interests. The same way you
are
voted the same way you voted against the minimum wage increase and for the MAGA Republican Party, who blocked the minimum wage increase. The same way you voted against the benefits that would have economically supported your daughter, like the $6,000 permanent child tax credit, $50,000 for small business entrepreneurs if she wants to pursue a small business, or the $25,000 down payment for first-time home buyers. You voted against all that. What is Donald Trump going to do to economically benefit your daughter? You said he's going to cut the overtime tax. Okay, that is nothing in comparison to the tariffs that are going to lead to $2,500 to $4,000 coming out of your daughter's pocket every single year on cost, and also the overtime tax cut is only going to put a couple dollars into her pay stub every 2 weeks. That's not a lot.
But there are like
She's going to get, you understand that she's going to get no more than like $20 back in her pay stub.
nobody. We have not we firmly believe we have not lost any rights, and we just have to wait and see what's going to happen. I mean, we can only.
It's not a wait and see. You already lost the right. It's a 6-week abortion. Like, ma'am, what are you talking about? You're going to wait and see. Yeah, you're going to wait and see.
Yeah, you're right. There is a 6-week ban as long as there are exceptions, but you cannot just go.
If your daughter has a medical emergency, she's not having an abortion in
Yes,
Florida.
there
I am sorry to break it to you. This is what breaks my heart. You are so in denial because the audacity to think that your daughter doesn't have the right to choose, even in the sense of a medical emergency, is shocking you right now. So you don't believe it. And I agree. It should shock you because it's disgusting. You're not understanding. Listen to me. Again, I understand that me telling you that there is no exception for a medical emergency in a Florida abortion ban that has been put forth. Stop. I understand. I get it. Fine. Fucking fine. I get it. There's not. And again, you could keep saying there is, because I understand that's you coping with it, because you're so shocked that I'm telling you don't have that right anymore. But ma'am, you don't have that right anymore. And it breaks my heart because someday you might need to exercise that right, and you're going to be real shocked when the doctors tell you no. Like you're blatantly ignoring me, ma'am. The audacity here. I understand.
I'm not,
I understand that you're shocked by the audacity of this. It's gone. It's gone.
The right to just go in and say I want to be as a control is
it's gone.
Yeah,
again,
right
I hear it, ma'am. It's gone. Stop coping.
No.
Stop coping. We're past this.
Ma'am, one of the ones
there are young men all over Twitter right now, again, including Nick Fuentes, who is saying that your daughter's body belongs to him. That is the party you voted for. That is who you voted for. You stripped away your own daughter's right and voted for the candidate who has no economic policy to even support her. Under Kamala's stance, she said that she was going to protect your daughter's right to choose and provide her with a $6,000 permanent child tax credit should your daughter choose to have a baby. Donald Trump says no child tax credit for your daughter and no right to choose for your daughter. You picked the party that wants to strip away your daughter's rights and freedoms. That's on you. You own that shit now, right? You got to own that. We're not going to keep playing this. We're not going to do the hypotheticals. You got to own that shit.
Okay. Well, whatever. All right.
So why did you vote away your daughter's rights? And Amanda, thank you so much for the $40 on Cash App. I appreciate the love. Thank you so much, Amanda. Can we please get like 1,000 W Amandas in the chat, please? I feel like Amanda probably protected the right of her daughter. Why'd you vote away the rights of your daughter?
We didn't vote any. There's no.
You voted for Trump?
We haven't lost any rights.
She doesn't have the right to choose anymore, ma'am.
If it was.
I hear your daughter behind you saying that she doesn't want an abortion ban either. I hear you. And to your daughter, I hear her as well. Let's better understand this. Your daughter no longer has the right to choose.
She wouldn't,
especially in Florida.
She values life, so she wouldn't be choosing.
I appreciate the indoctrination that you have bestowed upon your daughter. I hear you. I get that she would want to vote away her right too. That's fine and dandy. Vote away your rights all you want. Treat yourself like property all you want. My statement stands. You have less rights today. And to your daughter has less rights today than you did at her age growing up. Right? That shouldn't be the flex you think it is.
I've also raised my children to know that the sexual intercourse is for procreating, and that if she's not looking to
I feel so bad for your daughter. I'm sorry. So you're saying that I'm sorry. Where do you stand on LGBTQ plus rights? Please continue. Go ahead.
They can do whatever they want. I don't care. They can do whatever they want.
But that intercourse is what? Did you just say?
That she knows that is for creating life. So. And
what happens when it's two women? What happens when it's two women? They're not going to create life. So now is it wrong?
What?
You just said that intercourse is for. You just said that intercourse is for procreation. Right. So now let's say that it's same sex. Let's say that it's two women. Is it now wrong?
We wouldn't have to worry about anybody. We wouldn't have to worry about anybody getting.
You're not answering the question. Let me be more straightforward. Are you homophobic?
No.
Okay. Do you believe in the right to marry? Do you believe in the right to love?
Yeah. Knock yourself out. Be with whoever you want to be with.
Just wanted to set that term there. So now let's get back into this and look at the right to choose. Your daughter no longer has the right to choose. Your daughter is also not going to get a $6,000 permanent child tax credit, $50,000 down payment if she wants to pursue a business, or $25,000 down payment for when she inevitably buys a home. Also, student debt forgiveness, that was also blocked by Donald Trump, but proposed and put forth by Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. So if your daughter wants to go to college, wants to buy a home, wants to have children, it would be cheaper for her under Kamala Harris's presidency. It will be more expensive for her under Donald Trump's presidency. That is what you voted for, though, for her to have a tougher time in her 20s than an easier time in her 20s. You understand that she would have no student debt? Like she would have no fucking loans. Now she will.
But if you take out a loan, you have to pay that back.
You wouldn't under Kamala Harris, right? You would have had an opportunity to go to college without taking out an interest rate and loans, right? Again, your daughter would not have loans, would not have debt.
You cannot just pull this money
from the billionaires who aren't paying a cent in taxes, right? For example, pardon me. For example, you're paying a lot in taxes right now. You are. This would make it lower for you. Donald Trump's not cutting your taxes. You're not part of his tax plan. Pardon me. This would come from the 14% corporate tax deduction that you are paying for out of the $8 trillion Donald Trump added to the debt. Kamala would have taken the 14% corporate tax cut away, and she would have taxed unrealized capitalized gains for people making over $100 million. We're not making $100 million, so we don't got to worry about that. And that would have negatively impacted the economy, according to any economist across the board anywhere. But that would have paid for your middle class tax cuts and for the tax cuts your daughter would have economically benefited from.
Trump, I'm pretty sure Trump's going to cut taxes too.
By what? He said he wasn't going to. He was going to cut the corporate tax cut further, but not yours. You're not part of that plan. It's on paper, his fucking website policy. You're not in it. That's the issue here. He's cutting taxes on corporations. He said he would. That's on his website. Why aren't you anywhere on his website?
I don't.
Like,
I'm
why
not
isn't
doing it.
right? You're middle class,
Right.
but you're not in his policy, so he's not cutting your taxes. See the issue? You voted against your own interests and the
I don't-
interests of your daughter.
I don't think we did, but okay. So
Okay, tell me how you voted in favor of your interests. Tell me. How did you vote in favor of your interests?
we voted for the person or the policies, I guess, when it comes to certain topics that more align with our, the way how our perspective and how we feel about certain things.
Okay, but what are those policies?
Well, protecting life would be one of them. So
Okay, you're advocating for stripping away the right of your daughter.
it's
Weird
not stripping
flex,
away. You
but
still have exceptions, but that's okay. You just
okay. What
can't-
about, for
you're
example,
getting
Kate
elected
Cox?
one.
What about Kate Cox in Texas?
There were other.
Kate Cox in Texas has zero exceptions. She couldn't get an abortion for her non-viable pregnancy.
There were other things with that situation. That
No, there weren't.
done wrong.
She
Yeah,
needed
there
an
were.
abortion. Ma'am, she prayed for a baby. She prayed to God that God would give her a baby. She finally had the baby. And then it was no longer a pregnancy. It was a non-viable pregnancy. The baby didn't survive. And so she needed it to be removed from her body before it took her with it.
Well, and there are
Greg
things,
Abbott wouldn't let her have the abortion. She almost lost her life. Or how about
There
Amber
are
Thurman in
things-
Georgia, where there's no exceptions, and she did lose her life?
there are certain procedures that are coded as having an AB, and they're not AB. Like cesarean sections are
this is
coded
blatant
as
denial.
babies, and they're not.
Ma'am, this is
So
denial.
I feel like the doctors should
Ma'am?
No, it's the truth. There are
Look,
things.
do you want to talk to
that
Kate
are-
Cox about it? Because she would like to disagree with you, right? She's
There
the
are-
one who
there
had the
are
non-viable pregnancy. They wouldn't remove it.
But there are.
Why didn't they remove her non-viable pregnancy in Texas then?
I don't know.
You do. It's because they had an abortion ban. And so she couldn't get a non-viable pregnancy abortion. The baby was dead. It was inside of her body. And they were going to let her go down with the baby. That is what they were going to do.
Nothing wrong.
Because they were, ma'am, she had to flee the state to get an abortion. She didn't get the abortion in Texas. And if she goes back, they want to prosecute her. You understand? Okay. Because it's against the law there. Georgia, Amber Thurman lost her life. Non-viable pregnancy. Had a complication due to the medication they gave her. Then she died. If they just gave her the abortion, she would have been fine. She ran away. We got a runner. Let's get some cow emojis in the chat. Oh, come on, Bill. Why are you not working? There we go. No! We got a runner. We got a runner. Folks, if you want to support me and you like what you're hearing today and you want to watch us continue to hold folks accountable for voting against their own interests, my Venmo and PayPal are in my bio, and I greatly appreciate it. I want to say a massive thank you to everybody who has pitched in so far for the immense love. Thank you so much. I want to say a massive thank you first and foremost. Oh my gosh. First off, Alvaro, thank you so much for the $10 and Megan for the $5. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Valerie. Jennifer? Goodness gracious, Jennifer. Jennifer, thank you so much for the $100. That is beyond kind. I don't even know what to say. Thank you so much. That is beyond kind. Thank you for that blessing. Thank you so much. All right, folks, if you are voting for Donald Trump, join the guest request. I want to have a conversation about with you about what had just happened and what we are going to expect over these next 4 years. So if you did vote for Donald Trump, join the guest request and let's talk. If you voted for Kamala Harris, please hit that like button, hit the share button, help us get to 500,000 likes. Hi, Paula. Did you vote for Donald Trump?
I didn't, so I'm sorry. I didn't know.
No, you're okay. I appreciate you coming up, and thank you for not voting for Donald Trump. Thank you. Please don't say I'm sorry for not voting for Trump. Thank you for not voting for Trump. Okay, let's try with the next one. Oh, and folks, if you haven't already, there's a follow button in the top left corner. Hit that follow button and join our little family. We do these conversations every single day. I'm trying to get up our next guest right now, but it is going to take a moment. It always takes a second to get somebody up. Why are they disappearing? Oh my gosh, folks, did I scare the MAGA Republicans this bad? Like, did I scare them? What's going on? Am I scary? I don't think I'm scary. I think I'm nice. Thank you for the money, Gun. I appreciate the love. Hi there.
Hi.
How you doing?
You're not going to like it. I voted for Kamala, but I didn't know I couldn't request until...
Okay, I appreciate...
Let me give you a compliment. I love... This is the first time I've ever seen you. I'm going to send you a follow. I absolutely love this.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Amazing, and you know your facts, and...
I followed you right back.
I appreciate you, and I'm going to send you a follow. And someday when you want to talk to everybody, I'll be here, okay?
Oh, I thank you so much. I appreciate it. I just followed you right back. Also, speaking of, to the folks who have been chipping in, can you please let me know your usernames and stuff in the chat so that I can give you a follow? Because I want to make sure I'm following you. Like, if you're going to support me like that, like, please let me follow you. If that's okay, I would really like to follow you as well. Like to Sandra, and like Sandra just sent me $5. Like if you just did that, please let me follow you. Hi Walter, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Did you vote for Trump?
I sure did.
Gotcha. And so why do you hate America?
Same reason you do.
No. I was voting in the best interest of Americans. You voted quite literally against the right to choose. I mean, against my right to get married someday, right? You voted against.
I don't support murderers. So.
You don't support what?
Murderers. Right. You like to play the game with words, right? That's what this.
I'm sorry. Are we talking about like Melania here? Because I don't think Melania followed with the plan to get him, yet. Right, I think that's Melania's Christmas plan, but she hasn't done that just yet. So tell me again, why did you vote for Donald Trump, the criminal rapist?
Oh well, I didn't vote for the one who slept her way to the top. For
Melania? Leave Melania's name out of it. Stop bringing her up. Can you just answer the question, man?
No, I'm talking
Stay
about
on topic. Leave Melania alone. Leave Melania alone. That woman is a beautiful pro-choice woman. We stand for Melania. Even she doesn't like Donald Trump. But anyhow, tell me again. Why did you vote for Donald Trump? Can you, sir? Just tell me why you voted for Donald Trump. Can we get some free Melanias in the chat, by the way? Please let her out of her contract, Mr. Trump. Let her out of her contract. Can you tell me again, why are you voting for Trump? Just hurry up, man.
Because, you know what? Like the millions of America that just told y'all exactly how we feel, we look past all the BS that you guys try to quote.
And voted against your own interests, I understand. So why did you vote for him? Oh, my gosh. Actually, you voted against the interests of women.
Yeah,
that's what you did.
We love women and we support women.
Why did you vote against the right to choose?
Yeah, because it's not a right to choose; it's a right to murder.
Why aren't you giving them an economic policy that would benefit them after you force them to give birth?
We absolutely
see the hypocrisy here. No, you didn't. Your party just blocked
the
child tax credit expansion. One more time on this. Let's better understand. You're saying that you don't want women to have the right to choose, and we'll touch on that in a moment. But if you're going to strip away the right to choose, at least give them some money to pay for the baby you forced them to birth. You don't even have a policy that does that, though. Kamala had a policy to protect the right to choose and a $6,000 permanent child tax credit. It's not a generational issue. This is an issue that affects everybody. Again, where is the policy that you have to economically benefit a mother after she gives birth? My question to you is this, and you need to respond.
You wanted a conversation.
You're not conversating. You're conversing. You're not engaging in a conversation, right? So again, you are saying that you don't agree with the right to choose. Okay, I hear you. I think that's awful that you want to strip away a woman's right to choose, but we'll touch on that in a moment. I need to first know, then why don't you have a policy to economically benefit a mother after she is forced to give birth, right? Where's the money? Where's the money then? You can't just drop them without a right to choose and then not pay for it, right? So again, you have Kamala Harris, who said that she had a $6,000 permanent child tax credit for first-time mothers, and she's going to protect the right to choose. You're saying you're not going to give them either. And your own party just 6 weeks ago blocked a bill that would have expanded the child tax credit. So can you justify why you don't even want to pay for the baby you're going to force her to birth?
Are you ready to hear an answer? Or are you going to continue?
I would love an answer if you would stop pivoting. Go ahead.
Okay, well then stop rambling. Actually, let somebody answer.
nobody's rambled. I'm asking you a straightforward question. Just answer it, dude. Stop crying.
Okay, well then
Oh my
hush and
gosh.
listen. Hush and listen then, because all these little shows, I don't know if you guys really care.
Can
or
you
you're
just
really in it for the money.
respond to the question?
Okay.
Oh
All
my
right, here we
God.
go. You're talking about the money. Why don't we give them money? Okay. So let me tell you, this is right now the moment that you guys are going to get to quote all the policies that Kamala would have passed. That would.
Oh my God. Just answer why you're not giving women money after you force them to give birth. Can you hurry up?
Yeah, it will. And you know what? Everyone knows, and that's why we voted the way we voted. America
Everybody
was
knows
much
what?
better.
You didn't say
America was
anything.
much better in Trump's
You didn't say
years than
anything.
we are
You
now.
just said you're going to strip away a woman's right to choose. What is the policy that you have to give them money after you force them to give birth? Kamala said $6,000 permanent child tax credit and the right to choose. You're
How
saying
about
no right to
this?
choose,
You
and you're
learn
not
to
going to give
watch
them money to
decisions,
pay for the
and
baby. You just
work
force
for
them
your
to
life
birth.
like everyone else does. We
you're
don't just
telling
give
women
away.
to go get
the
a
government
job.
doesn't just give away.
You just told women that after you force them to give birth that they need to get up and go get a job. And really?
Wow, harsh reality of life.
That's what you just said.
You work for your decisions. You
Okay.
have consequences for your
So
decisions.
when a man like
Wow.
you dips
I'm
from
sure
the
that's a shocker for your
equation, so
generation.
when a
It
man
really
like
is.
you, excuse me, when
Absolutely
my
shocking.
generation believes in decency, your generation apparently believes in dipping off of a woman and then running away, forcing her to take care of your child. Yeah, my generation doesn't do that, but it seems like yours does. So let me
yeah,
better
you're
understand this
welcome.
again. You have Kamala Harris, who says first-time down payment, right? She's going to give them a permanent child tax credit to economically benefit a woman after she gives birth, and she's going to give them the right to choose so that they don't have to choose to have a child if they're not ready to have a child, right? You're saying that you believe in an outright abortion ban in every instance, and at the same time, you're not going to give them an economic policy to support the baby after it's born. What happens when we have somebody like you who just dips from the equation? You just told the woman, go get a job. Okay, she needs to take care of the fucking baby, and she's not going to have money to. This is how you fuck over women, right? You're saying that you want that woman to go get a job. Okay, let's say she gets the job to take care of the baby because the man in the equation ran the fuck away. Now what? Now she's stuck in a cycle where she doesn't get to purchase new clothes. She doesn't get to purchase food for the table that might be more nutritious. She doesn't get to go to college. She doesn't get to do any of that because every cent that she makes at the job you just told her to get will be used to pay for child daycare for the baby that she can't be near. Right? You just put her into a vicious cycle that will last forever. You're telling her that now she needs to go get a job. Hold on. You're saying to her that she's going to go. This isn't a hypothetical. This is what is happening in states like Texas, where you have outright banned abortion, right? This is happening. This is a vicious cycle, and you're okay with it, where you have women who are now forced into poverty because you want them to spend every moment of their time making money to pay for child daycare for a baby that they'll never get to see. You understand that child daycare every year costs well over $30,000. It's a privilege, and you're telling women that you're going to force them to give birth so that they could be stuck in a vicious cycle of poverty to pay for a baby that they'll never get to see. That is evil. That is Handmaid's Tale. Why are you advocating for that? That's evil. You understand?
Your play on words.
That's not a play on words. That's what you just advocated for.
No, let's
you
get
just
to
said
the source of
it.
the
If it
issue.
sounds
Okay.
awful to what you just said, if it
because
sounds awful, I agree it's awful, but that is
all
what you
that
just said,
mentioned
word
right
for
now. How
fucking
about
word.
this? How about this for a lesson?
You
All
said
that
get
you
a
talked
job,
about right
Walter.
now.
Walter,
All
you
that
said
you
if a
talked
woman
about right
gives
now.
birth,
Listen.
you said if a woman is forced to give birth, that she needs to go get a job to pay for it, even if the man dips out of the equation. That puts the woman into an economic downfall, pivots into poverty, and she'll be spending the rest of her days paying for a child's daycare, and she would never get to see the child because she'll always be working. How is that normal? That sounds like what? What?
Well, first of all, let me say
Why do you
thank
want that?
Because it's guys like you and the rest
It's
of
guys like you that show us exactly why women are about to have a god-awful and evil 4 years ahead of them. Shame on you. So let's get back into this. Why did you vote away the right to choose? Do you believe in the right to choose and the exceptions of rape, incest, and life of the mother?
Yep, I do. And so the
instance, if a woman is raped, yes to exception or no?
Yes to exception.
Life is at risk, yes to the exception or no?
Yes.
Incest as well, yes or no?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Now you voted for the candidate who doesn't believe in the exceptions. So again,
Lies.
you have Donald
Lies.
Trump who
There's
overturned
video.
Roe v.
There
Wade.
is
Donald Trump
video
overturned
of
Roe v.
Trump.
Wade. And this, thanks to
There
Donald
is
Trump,
videos.
has led to, you're saying that there's video of it. He's not
There's
saying this shit
video
in
of
public.
Trump saying
Stop,
he
stop,
is for
stop. Not true.
exceptions.
Lies. Again,
He
you have
is for
Donald Trump who
exceptions.
overturned, stop lying.
No.
You have Donald
Lies.
Trump.
Lies.
You have Donald Trump who overturned Roe v. Wade, right? Period.
Lies.
This led to women. Dude, he overturned Roe v. Wade. That's not a lie. He overturned Roe v. Wade. He nominated 3 Supreme Court justices to the Supreme Court, and they overturned
he's
Roe
for
v. Wade.
exception.
Period. He also said he is the one who overturned Roe v. Wade. He said it on Truth Social last fucking night. He said he's the one who did it and he's proud of it. He said he's proud of it. He said he did it. You're saying I'm lying? Well, he says he did it. So then what? Is he lying? Okay. Second thing. You're coming up here and speaking nonsense, saying that you believe in the exceptions, but Donald Trump doesn't. Donald Trump overturned Roe v. Wade. Women like Kate Cox couldn't get an abortion in Texas. She fell under that exception. So what I want you to do here is unmute. Hurry up. Let's go. Unmute. Come on, Walter. Tell me. You say you believe in the exceptions, but Donald Trump overturns Roe v. Wade, which led to women like Kate Cox in Texas who could not get an abortion.
He's for it.
Ma'am, Walter, listen.
Dude,
Donald
stop
Trump
lying.
overturns
Stop
Roe v.
putting spews.
You won't let me explain
I
the
get you're
point.
mad. You lost.
Stop unmuting. Listen to the point.
You lost.
Stop. If you do it again, you're getting kicked, and I'm going to explain the point without you here. I'm not going to not get my words out. I will get the words out whether you like it or not.
Well.
So again, I need you to answer. Kate Cox couldn't get an abortion because your party stripped away her right to choose with no exceptions. So you're saying that you believe in the exceptions, but your own party wouldn't let her have an exception. And now you're saying, oh, well.
No, I'm telling you.
What about her?
You.
What about Kate Cox?
What about
What about Amber Thurman? What about them? You say you believe in the exceptions. Donald Trump obviously doesn't. Kate Cox couldn't get an abortion. She was in the exceptions. It was her life at risk. The pregnancy was
It's funny
non-viable.
how you guys
the
allow-
pregnancy was the pregnancy would have cost her life. It was non-viable. That is under the exceptions. Your party wouldn't let her have an abortion. So clearly your party doesn't believe in the exceptions. Can you tell me why you're lying? Why are you lying? Why are you lying?
Do you want a response or not?
I want to know why you're lying to women and trying to gaslight them. You say you believe in the exceptions, but you voted against the exceptions. Again, Kate Cox couldn't have an abortion. She fell under the very exceptions you speak on. You say you believe in an exception for the life of the mother. Kate Cox's life was at risk. You wouldn't let her have an abortion. Amber Thurman's life was at risk. She's dead. You wouldn't let her have the abortion. So tell me again. You're saying you support Donald Trump because he supports the exceptions. Your party does not. Speak on that. Go ahead.
Why do you accept change of opinion?
You're not going to answer? You're not going to answer? You're not going to answer? Answer.
We're getting to the point.
Answer.
You're going to let me talk?
Answer. What about the exceptions? What about the exceptions for Kate Cox?
I am.
Go ahead.
I am.
Hurry up.
Okay. Donald Trump changed his position on it. Okay, why
Amber
do you
Thurman's
allow
dead.
Amelia to do it and not Trump?
You're saying he changed his position now? She's already
Why do you
dead.
allow Amelia to do
What
it
do you
and
mean?
not Trump?
What do you mean he changed his position? She's dead. What do you mean? Oh my God, dude, get out of here. Next. He's like, Donald Trump has recently changed his position. She's gone. I'm glad he changed his mind today. What? And also, he didn't change his mind. But let's say he did. A little late, don't you think? Like, it's a little late. I feel like it's a little late. Come on. That's some nonsense right there. You understand that he quite literally said that he voted for Donald Trump because Donald Trump believes in the exceptions, but Donald Trump is the man from the party that overturned the right to choose in its entirety, where Kate Cox could not seek an abortion when she fell under the very exception he just spoke on. Life of the mother was at risk. They were going to take her life with the fetus. The fetus was gone. They wouldn't remove it. So it was going to take her life too. And he's saying, oh, well, sucks to suck. Like, what? Why do they talk about women like this? I don't understand the whole... Like, they talk about the right to life. Why do they treat like a woman's life is inferior to that of a man? I don't understand it.
Hello. I'm from Sweden, but I'm visiting.
And I'm gonna go throw a box of tea in the Boston Harbor. What do you mean you're from Sweden? Get out of my life. I want to say a massive thank you to Jessica for the $30 on PayPal. That is beyond kind. Oh, and I see your username. I'm going to make sure to follow you right after this, as well as Melissa, Marie, Jordan. Thank you so much for the love, folks. Yeah, let me make sure. Let me see if I could do it now. I want to make sure I get your phone. Oh, there's a few here. I'm going to make sure I will get to following. I promise you. Kim, thank you so much for the love. And Jenny, Stephanie, Jennifer, Krista, thank you so much for the love, folks. I appreciate it. Thank you for the love on Venmo. Yeah, I see your usernames on the Venmo tags. I'm going to make sure to follow you after this. I appreciate it. Thank you for the love. Can we get up our next guest? Again, folks, if you are voting for Donald Trump, join the guest, or not voting, but if you voted for Donald Trump, join the guest request. Let's have a conversation. Pardon the cough. I need my inhaler. Hello. Hello? Okay. I tried. Let's get up the next. Hello, how are you?
I'm good.
So did you vote for Donald Trump?
I was on your live, I believe yesterday or the day before yesterday, and I did say that I voted for Trump. And then you proceeded to make fun of my name and everything. Like that, I agree.
Cry more?
I think
Why are you so sensitive?
it's
I'm sorry,
time for me
you,
to
the
actually-
same party that is right now, the Republican Party, the same party that is running around telling women like Walter to go cry more, that you just stripped away their right to choose. You're coming up here to cry to me because I got your name wrong? Bite me. I don't care. What do you mean? Anyway, let's get back into this. And that's not me being disrespectful. That's just me sharing the feast, right? You want to go mock women and you want to tell them to go cry more. I'm going to do the same to you. Cry more. I don't care. So again, tell me now, why would you vote against your own interests and for Donald Trump?
I didn't. I think we need a 4B movement really quick.
We need a what?
4B movement.
Okay. Did you vote for Trump? What was that? What just happened? I'm so confused. She said she voted for Trump? I think she's confused. I think she's confused. I think she was very confused right? Like she was definitely confused. She said she was voting for Trump and then she talks about the movement. I'm like, what are we? But ma'am, you said you voted for Trump. Anyway, hi guest. Did you vote for Trump? Hello. Okay, next up. Hello.
Catch up on the adventures of the Cape Crusader.
Hello. Okay, goodbye. I tried. I was like, I'll talk to him, and then I brought him up, and he ran away. What happened? Hello.
Yo.
Did you vote for Donald Trump?
I did.
Gotcha. Do you have a daughter?
A daughter?
Mm-hmm.
I do. I have a 3-year-old daughter.
Why'd you vote against her rights?
It's not so much the rights, I feel like.
It is.
I feel like there's got to be the exceptions. Like, it's not so much the exception of I don't believe that like late second term, third term abortion should be a thing just as like an elective side of it. There should be the exceptions like medical stuff like that have to be implemented. But
those exceptions don't exist in many states.
I feel like they have to, because you can't have.
But then you would have voted for Kamala, and you didn't.
I don't think you should have the elective part of it. Like,
can you tell me about Kate Cox?
I mean, there's these situations like that, but
I get that I get that these are tough questions, but we're about to enter 4 years of days and days of days where they're going to continue stripping away the rights of your daughter, right? So I'm trying to explain here again. Can you tell me about Kate Cox then? Because you're talking about the exceptions. She needed an abortion. She fell under the very exceptions you're speaking on. They wouldn't let her have the abortion. It was going to take her life. She had to flee to a Democratic state to seek one. So then why did you vote for more women like Kate Cox to experience what Kate Cox experienced?
I do. I think the fear for me is just on the elective side of it. Like, I mean, do you believe that a girl should have the right to, an abortion, late second term, third term abortion, just because of choice, just because they don't think it's the right choice for them?
No, I believe in the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as it stood in the States, around 22 to 24 weeks when a pregnancy becomes viable, that's where the restriction lied. That's what I agree with, that restriction. And yet that is not what we're seeing today. We're seeing states across the country implement 6-week abortion bans long before women even knew that they were pregnant. They couldn't get an abortion. Like, they're going to lose the right to seek an abortion by the time they find out they're pregnant. You have women like Kate Cox who had a non-viable pregnancy and they wouldn't let her seek an abortion. They were going to take her down with the fetus. Amber Thurman, non-viable pregnancy. They gave her medication. She had a complication to it. If they just gave her a traditional abortion, but they refused to do so, she would still be with us today. She's not.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, I agree. I think it sucks because, like, I do believe that it should be a state by state thing, and like you have the opportunity to live in whatever state you want.
Well, no, people don't have the opportunity to go live in whatever state they want.
I mean, you kind of do. I mean, it sucks.
Okay, for example, the right to choose is protected in California.
Which I've done.
The right to choose is protected in California. If you're a woman in Arkansas, there's zero chance you're going to be able to move to California, either feasibly, economically, and then thrive in California either. And there's so many factors that play into that. One, based off of the education system alone. Those in Arkansas have a weaker education than those in California. So it's more competitive, and those in California are going to be more eligible for roles that they're seeking to fill for jobs in an economy that is far more expensive. So to have equal rights, you have to move to a state that you can't afford to live in because you come from a state like Arkansas. That's giving privilege, right? Like, I'm in Pennsylvania. Your right to choose is protected here. If you try to move here from Alabama, you're not going to be able to live here. We are smarter. We are more equipped. We are economically stronger. And this is a Democratic state, and that's a Republican state, and that speaks volumes to it. I mean, look at the dumbest state in the nation. It's West Virginia, right? They were rated the dumbest state in the nation. The top 5 smartest states are all Democratic states, including Massachusetts and Connecticut. So, like, let's just be real. But that being said, so my point is that somebody like a woman from Alabama is not going to be able to pick up their shit and move to a Democratic state if they want equal rights, right? And that's not me bashing West Virginia, to be clear. It's just like the fact. But anyway, so help me better understand this then again. Like,
it would worry me.
You voted against your daughter's right to choose in the future. Let's say she needs to exercise that right. Now what?
I mean, if it's a medically based thing, I mean, I feel like that's kind of like, it's such a hard,
Kate Cox.
You kind of go into that pocket, right? That Kate Cox pocket, and it's sad. And it's just like, I think for
it's sad, but you just voted for that, man.
I think a Republican standpoint scary because we've seen what happened in like California. Like, when things go like really far left, you end up getting like emissions testings. You get like the weird, just everything.
Wait, but you said it's sad, but you just voted for it. Like, what state are you from?
Well, no, I'm Utah.
Okay, you're Utah.
See, I'm more for like the independent decision of, like, I don't want to get forced into like these far left reaches that are like, okay, like, how can you say like, I mean,
dude, you voted against your daughter's right to choose. And you're looking at, for example, women like Kate Cox who can't seek their right to choose, even in the instance of a non-viable pregnancy. If you said that was sad, I agree. That's sad. That's why I voted. That's why I voted for Kamala.
Right. I just moved to Utah, from Oregon, and
So you moved from Oregon.
Yeah, okay. I can see how
that right there as well is the privilege, right?
Well, I mean,
I'm also privileged, to be clear. I can pick up my stuff and go move where I want to move. Right. Not everybody gets to do that. So you're suggesting that like women can just pick up and move. They can't. Like, you just moved from Oregon to Utah. That was the privilege. You can't pick up your stuff. Go ask somebody in Utah to pick up their stuff and try to go move to Oregon. They don't have that same right. They're not going to be able to accomplish that in the equal extent as you just did.
You think like, I mean, as this example, as so many people have focused on the abortion issue, I just feel like there's so many more left-wing, like, out there reaches that, like, we don't need. Like, yes, abortion, don't get me wrong, the abortion thing is a serious issue.
I just want to know why you voted away the rights of your daughter. Like, you voted away the right to choose of your daughter. Your daughter currently has less rights than her mother did at her age. You understand the gravity of that?
You know, it's difficult because I do want my daughter to have the right to choose, and
she doesn't.
But I want her to choose to a degree. Like, I want, I think if you're responsible enough to have, sex and stuff like that, you're responsible.
But again, that doesn't change the statement that
like, you might not know that you're pregnant for 2 months.
Your daughters,
you should have the responsibility of getting tested, right? I mean, you should.
Your daughter's great grandmother fought for your daughter to have that right to choose. It was the law of the land for 50 years, and you voted it away as your daughter's father. Now your daughter has less rights today than what her mother had at her age growing up. Okay? Your daughter is going to have a far tougher time in life, not even just with the right to choose, but also economically. Okay? In the future, let's also recognize here, right? In future scenarios, the Supreme Court justices that your daughter will be going up with, or you'll more than likely have 5 Supreme Court justices, all appointed by Donald Trump by the end of his term. Okay. That is going to impact your daughter's rights across the board, right?
I want my daughter to be, like, smart enough, though, to be like, look, I mean, there is a deadline to make.
We're talking decades from now. Like, let's say 20 years from now, your daughter is like 23, whatever. Okay. You'll still have 5 Supreme Court justices appointed by Donald Trump. Like, if you think she's going to have her right to choose back, no, she won't have the right to choose. Yeah. Or how do you feel? How do you feel about the young men on Twitter right now, including Nick Fuentes, who are running around telling women that it's their body, my choice? Like, you understand that Nick Fuentes literally said to women, and that there's a movement of this by young men on Twitter right now, saying that a woman's body is their choice, is a man's choice. Like, this is, and they're telling women to go make them sandwiches and shit. Like, is this is the party you voted with? Is that the party that you want your daughter?
At a certain degree, there's a responsibility that a woman has to take into her own self. Like, when you have unprotected sex, like, it's up to you to get tested, to test yourself, to know if you're pregnant. Like, before it gets to that point. And I mean, you have stories like that where it's like, sucks. You're at the 3rd term. There's some complications. And it's, and then that's kind of, that should be, there should be an exception.
Is this thing on? Huh? Great. Now what?
I just think there should
now
be
what?
Like,
but now what? Right? Texas doesn't care if it's grape. So now what?
I mean, it's.
That's what you voted for. You just fucked over women across the country. That's what you did.
I don't
no, you did.
Like that.
I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. Women in the chat, did this guy not just fuck you over?
There's gotta be accountability.
Let's take a look at the chat.
Like, if you're
there should be accountability for you. Don't go around graping people, and you won't need to. Hello, excuse me. It takes 2 to tango. You're saying there needs to be accountability. The accountability doesn't come down to the women. Stop. You're saying there needs to be accountability. That is blatant sexism. How about this again? Don't go around graping people, and then grape victims won't need to seek an abortion. Just a thought. You're telling women that what they should go. You're like, women, close your legs and you won't need to. That's not it. It's men graping women, right? Or it's women having a medical emergency and needing to seek an abortion, right? But MAGA Republicans, like those in Texas, will not let women seek an abortion even in that instance. You voted against the right to choose. You voted against your daughter's right to choose. Can you justify why you did that? And this time, let's move out of the right to choose. Tell me why you threw your daughter's right to choose under the bus. What was worth it for you? Was it like a policy? What was worth it? What was your, I like this that Donald Trump's going to do. Fuck my daughter.
No, come on.
That's what you did. So what is the policy that did it for you?
No, just I
get that I ask tough questions, but I'm being realistic. Okay. I'm not going to sugarcoat this shit. So fair. What's the policy that made you make your, what made your choice?
My thing is it worries me that if we have, it's not just gonna be like an open 3rd term. Like, what are the exceptions on Kamala's side? What are the exceptions? Because you can't just have
As it was.
open third term. You have to say.
Nobody's saying.
Like, at what point is abortion?
The point was there.
I mean, are you
Roe v.
saying,
Wade?
okay,
it was
abortion should be okay?
22 to 24 weeks was the pretty much national consensus, because that's when a pregnancy becomes viable. Before then, it's not a viable pregnancy. Okay. After 22, 24 weeks, it can survive outside of the womb. And so even then, if somebody says, well, my life is at risk, they take the fetus out of the mother and they put it into an ICU, and it lives individually away from the mother until they reunite again after it is, at that 9-month period.
So you believe that the government should...
I believe in the 22 to 24 week restriction as it was. That's what it was.
National controlled, like a government controlled census conclusion, like this is it. This is how it's going to be.
The nation had a consensus. It was 22 to 24 weeks. Roe v. Wade was overturned, and that became a 6-week abortion ban or outright abortion ban in states like Texas. That's the control. Why is the government controlling a woman's body instead of giving them the right to choose? And again, what policy did you vote for that was worth taking that right away from women?
Well, I think just seeing how far left that she really was, or her campaign really was.
She wasn't. Dude, she was lukewarm. Okay, Kamala Harris was as moderate as they come. Let's be very honest, right? What policy did Kamala Harris have that was far
that's the
left?
scary thing is there was no, the only policies that we had to go off of was shit she had, a year or two ago. That she would openly have said.
Was
a year or
the
two
$6,000 permanent child tax credit far left?
I think it's just nonsense. I think it's just,
That's
it's
nonsense.
hubbub.
Supporting a mother financially after you force her to give birth. That's
No, I mean, don't
nonsense.
get me wrong. I would love it too.
Is
Don't get
that
me
far
wrong. I'd
left
love
or
it next
nonsense?
But I just know it's not
Pardon me.
affecting enough people to make a difference.
The
and it wouldn't affect me to make a difference.
Actually, that would help millions of women across the
$3,000.
country, the millions of women that you just forced to give birth. Again, the $6,000 permanent child tax credit, was that far left? Yes or no?
I have a 3-month-old.
Was that far left? Yes or no? Okay, so then this would have benefited you. So you really voted against your own interests. You voted against the interests of you and your daughter. You said that when your daughter grows up, you don't want her to have that right to choose. I pray that you'll never have to exercise it, but I know statistically there's a chance you might. Now,
but I also
she won't get to because you voted against her interests. So my prayers mean jack shit. Now then we have to take a look again at, for example, you saying that you're a young parent of a baby. You got to recognize that Kamala's down payment of $6,000, that permanent child tax credit would have benefited you. Donald Trump's party blocked the child tax credit expansion just 6 weeks ago. Kamala Harris says $50,000 if you want to start a small business, $25,000 if you want to buy a home. Donald Trump has no policy that even falls parallel to that. He's not even running on cutting your taxes anymore, right? You understand that there's not a tax cut percentage that he's going to attribute to you, only corporations. So what are you getting out of Trump's presidency here? Can you explain?
I mean, myself, I do believe in the trickle down economics. I do.
Well, it hasn't worked yet, so keep believing.
Yeah, I mean, I want her to be able to stand her ground too. I believe in Second Amendment. I believe in Second Amendment.
Democrat. Kamala's never came after my Second Amendment. Okay, Donald Trump did. Donald Trump's bump stock ban was in direct violation. Pardon me.
He has openly.
Donald Trump's bump stock ban was in direct violation of the Second Amendment. He signed it in executive order, and it was overturned in June of this year by his own Supreme Court. You understand that?
But
so he's the constitutional violator. You're talking about somebody. Excuse me. You're talking about somebody coming after my Second Amendment. If somebody touches my Second Amendment, I'm not voting for him. Period. Kamala's never touched my Second Amendment. In part, this is why she had my vote. Donald Trump implemented a bump stock ban in direct violation of my Second Amendment. His own Supreme Court said it was unconstitutional and they overturned it. So you want to talk about somebody coming after my Second Amendment. And again, maybe you didn't know, but I am a Second Amendment Democrat. So you're talking in the right place then. That's why you wouldn't vote for Donald Trump. Or do you support the Second Amendment? Do you actually exercise it? Or are you just talking as a talking point here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Do you actually exercise the Second Amendment? Yes or no?
Wait, hold on. What was that?
You've never exercised your Second Amendment, have you?
What do you mean?
Have you ever exercised your Second Amendment?
Open carry.
Okay, there you go. So again, if you support the Second Amendment, you exercise your Second Amendment, you wouldn't be voting for Trump, you'd be voting for Kamala Harris. This is something where people on both sides of the aisle agree on, even those as far right and as out of touch with the rest of America as Kyle Rittenhouse. In what world or reality do I and Kyle Rittenhouse see eye to eye on an issue? Donald Trump screwed over the Second Amendment so hard that he is far, far, far right Republicans like Kyle Rittenhouse and me seeing eye to eye on something. Ain't that crazy, man? So
No,
again,
I agree.
help
I mean,
me better
the only
understand
thing
this.
we're- the only
Why
thing
did
we're really arguing about
what
is the abortion
what
act.
policy does Donald Trump have that's going to economically benefit you?
I mean, at this point, I mean, just, I mean, to me, it's so much more open and just easier to see that just the Democrat. Any
Dude, you got to go get your baby. What are you doing?
She is not happy, is she?
Yeah, go. You're good. Go get her.
Yeah, no. You guys are good then. Maybe I'll join back in a little bit.
You're good. Go take care of your kid. You have a good one.
All right, you too.
Folks, if you haven't already, hit that follow button in the top left corner and join our little family. We'd love for you to be part of the community we've got going on here. And a massive thank you to a few folks I want to say real quick. Doreen, thank you so much for the love on PayPal. Thank you so much to Kate. I appreciate the love. To Gail, to Kim, Jenny, Stephanie. Stephanie, thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. I see your usernames on there. I'm going to make sure that I follow you folks right after this. And if I accidentally miss somebody, please just let me know. I want to make sure that I'm following you folks for supporting me. I appreciate the love. Thank you so much. Okay, let's try to unmute our guest here. Danny, how you doing? Whenever you're ready, if you could unmute.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I was waiting on you.
All right, so did you vote for Donald Trump?
Yes, I did.
Gotcha. And why do you hate America?
So, it's not that I hate America. I love America.
No, you just hate women.
So, no, I mean, your BS on Donald Trump and ruining our Second Amendment right. The bump stock? Are you serious? That's not even...
You're going to come up here and tell me it's okay that he modified or that he blocked a modification to the Second Amendment. So the bump stock is a modification to a firearm, period. You're saying that it's okay that Donald Trump violated that because it's a modification and not an actual firearm. Okay, you think that it's not unconstitutional. That's your personal belief. And if you think that you can strip away a piece of my Second Amendment, that's exactly why I voted against Donald Trump. But your own party, your own Supreme Court ruled that Donald Trump is a constitutional violator, right? You did that. You did that. Your own Supreme Court said so.
No. Joe Biden's been trying to go green, take away the Second Amendment from the very beginning. And, yeah,
Prove
Kamala.
it. Tell me when.
Yeah, when he first started his presidency.
Tell me when. What did he do?
Back in... He just
what did he
talked
do?
about how...
Can you just tell me what he did?
School shootings were happening.
Okay, he talked about what? Ensuring that children aren't losing their lives in schools because of criminals and mentally unwell people having Second Amendment.
Firearms are killing people.
So, excuse me, that's not him taking it away. That's him saying that we should probably do something about it.
You can make do
you have kids? Do you have kids?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so maybe don't advocate for them losing their lives in schools. Just a thought. Dude, I'm a Second Amendment Democrat, and even I know that what you just said was stupid. So again, tell me again, why would you vote for Donald Trump? Can you just explain it, man?
What you're saying is stupid. I heard Biden say that out of his own lips. You're up here BSing everybody.
You
Bullshit.
said
Everybody knows in America.
You just said that Joe Biden said. You just said that Joe Biden said that children are losing their lives in schools due to mentally unwell people exercising their Second Amendment. That would be correct. Never did he say he was going to take away your Second Amendment. Never did he try to take away your Second Amendment. But Donald Trump did. He implemented a bump stock ban that was in direct violation of the Second Amendment. It was overturned in June of this year by his own Supreme Court. Amy Coney Barrett wrote the introduction on the document. Okay? Great.
Why did you vote for Kamala? She is...
Sure, I voted for Kamala. Actually, her name is Kamala.
No, yeah, it's Kamala. Kamala for Paris, Harris.
You just said Paris. Wow, it's a little early to be sundowning, don't you think? Are you good, man? Like, I'm trying to be respectful here, but I don't think you're even deserving of that kind of respect. And clearly not, right? Because you did just vote away the rights of women across America. You're deserving of no respect. Let me better understand this. I voted for Kamala Harris because Kamala Harris is going to... No, she's not going to. because of ignorant people like you. But Kamala Harris would have protected rights and freedoms like the Second Amendment, the right to choose, the right to organize, the right to love. Kamala Harris would have offered us economic policies that would have benefited middle-class Americans, like the $25,000 down payment for first-time home buyers, $50,000 for small business entrepreneurs, the $6,000 permanent child tax credit. Kamala Harris was the law and order candidate. You put a felon into the presidency. You did that. What does that teach kids? Putting Kamala into the presidency taught young girls across America that they can be whatever they want. Now, because of you, there's young men on Twitter telling them to make them sandwiches, telling women that their bodies belong to those young men. Look no further than Nick Fuentes. What kind of lesson did you just set for women, for young girls? And what kind of lesson are you setting for young children across America by putting a felon into the presidency? It teaches them, hey, go become a felon and you could become president. Huh? And then look no further again at the policies here. I just told you about the economic policies. I'm telling you about freedom and rights. I can talk about the border, like the border policy, right? You Republicans have no idea what you're doing with the border. You don't understand the stats. You don't understand the percentages. Look no further than Florida, right? Ron DeSantis, 40% of his workforce in agriculture are undocumented immigrants. He just stopped them from seeking employment in his state. He's shutting farmers out of business. They've lost $13 billion in 1 month alone. And now he's complaining about having a worker shortage. He caused it. And now he's not fixing it. And then Democrats say, well, let's support our farmers by creating a pathway to citizenship for the illegal immigrants that they are employing so that they can now be legal immigrants. And your party blocked it. Because you're not seeking a solution to workforce development. You're not seeking a solution to the economy. You're not seeking a solution to the border, or else you would have supported the bipartisan border bill that would have secured the border in its entirety. You're just fucking racist. Period.
Like, stop muting me, man. All right, you.
No, because I think it's funny. See? Crime war. I'm a what? Sorry, you got muted. I'm a... Oh, say it. Go ahead. Oh, no, it didn't work. I'm a what? Oh, punk. You came up... Really? That's the worst you got? Really? Wow, I wasn't expecting that. That was weak. That's all you got? You didn't even say the F slur. You really had nothing better lined up in the chamber? I can tell you've never exercised your Second Amendment. That was weak. That was insane. That was pathetic. Let's get up the next. That was so pathetic. He goes, you're a punk. I'm a... Really? That's what you got? That was weak. Hey, you voted for Trump?
Yeah, actually.
Ew. Sorry. That probably wasn't nice. I probably could have been nicer on that one. But, you know, Mama taught me when somebody disrespects women, you disrespect them right back. And I am not here to disappoint my mama today. So, you know what it is. W Mama's in the chat, by the way. Trying to get up our next guest here. I don't think they're coming up. Alrighty, folks. I think we're going to take a little bit of break. I've been on live now for about 3 hours, so I think I'm going to go grab some dinner. Y'all okay with that? Y'all good if I was also taught, Mama also taught me to, tell folks when you're about to excuse yourself from the table. So am I good? Am I excused? Alrighty, folks. So I'm gonna grab some food. I hope that you folks all go grab something to eat as well. I see a lot of folks who had just supported me on Venmo, on PayPal. Some of you folks put your usernames on there. I'm gonna make sure I go through and follow you right after this. If I don't and you just supported me, please let me know. Let me know, and I will make sure that I do, because I want to be able to follow you, if that's okay. I know that some folks don't want to be followed. If you have a private account and you don't want me to follow you back, that's okay. But to the folks who had supported me, thank you so much. I'm going to go through those usernames now and give you a follow. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the love. Love you right back. We'll be back in a little bit. I hope everybody has a good dinner. And thank you so much to our moderators as well who've been tuning in today. MT, thank you so much, everybody, for keeping the chat as a safe space. I can feel my lungs giving out, so I got to go get my inhaler.